Morning everybody, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This morning I'm going to be reacting to a Primarch returns to 40k, voice acted, 40k lore, entire character history made on the TheAmberKing YouTube channel. This is in relation to the greatest Primarch in 40k, entire character history. You could say that that's part 1, and then this is part 2 of the entire character history of Lionel Johnson, the Lion, and it's voice acted by Sheen Michael Morneau. And if you guys want to check out my reaction to part 1 of the entire character history, remember the playlist card for the Warhammer 40k content created by YouTubers playlist is going to be at the top here. You'll be able to find the video in that playlist. If you want to check out the original video as well as the TheAmberKing's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Yes, Lionel Johnson, hailing from the planet or the death world, Caliban. Yes. Very dangerous world where Lionel Johnson hails from. Like all Primarchs, he had a mission, a vision, an objective, and he succeeded in destroying, or should I say exterminating, the great beasts that roamed Caliban by uniting his people. Of course, he didn't do it alone. He had help with Luther. But then after conquering, the planet, he started looking up to the stars. He started wondering about what was out there. However, his people are not the same like him. They are content with Caliban. They are content with their traditions and with their order and their society as it is. But Johnson thinks differently. He wants to go out there. He wants to expand. He wants to see whether he can actually reach this fabled world called Terra. And luckily for him, the Imperium of Man found Caliban, and he was introduced into the Imperium of Man, introduced to his legion, the first legion, the Dark Angels, and he had a new purpose, he had a new drive, and he fought against humanity's greatest enemies, fought against humanity's greatest nightmares and terrors, and yes, he was a champion within the Imperium of Man. However, unlike his brothers, where they wanted, venerated kind of support from the Emperor, or they wanted love from the Emperor, they wanted some sort of recognition from the Emperor, Lionel Johnson did not seek any of that. For him, the reward was the duty, was the service to the Imperium of Man and to the Emperor of mankind. In fact, the Emperor and Lionel Johnson shared similar minds, if you can say it like that. They rarely speak to each other. They understand each other instinctively. So yeah, Lionel Johnson really is the type of Primarch that the Emperor really would want, more of his sons to be like, I think, definitely. Yes, Lionel Johnson is a good Primarch, but he's made mistakes. He has made mistakes. He is a bit paranoid when it comes to his brothers, when it comes to his legion. He wasn't really close with his brothers, and that also trickled down to his legion, where he has lost trust in his closest confidants when it comes to Luther, his brother/father, and his friend Zaharael. They were sent back to Caliban because of situations that Luther did not take full responsibility for in terms of protecting his Primarch, if I can say that. And during the Horus Heresy, this all became one big situation for Lion L. Johnson, because he didn't understand his brothers, he didn't know his brothers that well, and he trusted a brother thinking that he was a loyal servant of the Imperium of Man, but in fact he was a traitor. And this type of situation compounded the problem of him not trusting his brothers, not trusting his legion. Even within the legion, there was an Astartes called Namiel, who was backhanded by Lionel Johnson because he had a different perspective. He had a different belief from his Primarch, in terms of the Edict of Nicaea, where it was quite clear and stipulated that The librarians were to be disbanded. Psychers would, within the legions, would stop using their powers, but Lionel Johnson wanted them to continue because of certain reasons dealing with the warp. But Nemiel was against it, and he was backhanded, and his head exploded. I don't know how a backhand can just destroy your head, but that's what happened. That's how infected, what's his name again? Yeah, infected Umbrella Grant told me how things happened, in terms of that situation. Yeah, thanks, infected Umbrella Grant. Thank you for explaining how that happened there. But yeah, essentially Lionel Johnson lost trust in his brothers, and he's also losing trust in his own legion. And it made it even far worse for him when he was dealing with Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz, of course, he's joined the traitors, and Lionel Johnson were fighting in their own miniature crusade, back and forth. The Night Lords and the Dark Angels have been fighting each other, along with their Primarchs, until finally Lionel Johnson was able to capture Conrad Kurz. And now he's focusing his attention on Roboute Guilliman and the Ultramarines. Roboute Guilliman is building a Imperium Secundus, a backup for the Imperium of Man. And yeah, Lionel Johnson does not see it that way. He sees it as a threat. He sees it as his brother trying to usurp power, which is not true, of course, because it's Roboute Guilliman. There's no traitorous bone in that man. But anyways, I'm digressing. So essentially that's where Lionel Johnson is heading off now, to Roboute Guilliman, and that's where we're going to be starting with the video. A Primarch returns to 40k. Yes, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
I learned to survive on Caliban by acting with certainty. And that was a mindset I took with me into the galaxy. I failed my father. I fear I also failed my brothers. I do not wish to fail my sons.
Yeah, why does Lionel Johnson sound so shaky here? He sounds very shaky. I wonder. Or is it just the way, the style of Sheen Michael Monroe to, represent as Lionel Johnson? I'm not sure. Because in the previous video, you could hear the voice. It was powerful, it was stable, it was commanding. But now he's a bit shaky.
You mistrust me, and my motives. You have told me so, clearly. You suspect me of a treason at least as great as Horace's, if not deeper.
Imperium Secundus, you do not deny it. You are establishing a second Imperium on the corpse of the first.
No.
No.
No. I am trying to keep the flame alive. This is not about empire building or thrusting for the main prize. I have an empire already. Ultramar. 500 worlds. Brother, I do this only so that we may persist. Terra may have fallen, and our father may already be dead. Whatever the facts, the ruin storm prevents us from knowing the truth.
Yes, and that is why you need a backup, Lionel Johnson. He's the only Primarch who's thinking, of contingency plans for the Imperium of Man. Everybody else, yes, of course, they're dealing with the traitors wherever they can, and, they're trying to fight against the Chaos forces. I understand, but really, Guilliman is the greatest Primarch. He is the greatest Primarch. You know, the Terra can fall, the Emperor can be dead, but the Imperium of Man is going to continue because this guy is here. Guilliman.
I am not taking this moment to move to my advantage, and I'm not using the crisis as an opportunity to usurp. I am not Lupercal. I am simply keeping the flame alive. If we need another capital world, another figurehead, then let us have one. If it keeps our father's vision of the Imperium alive, if Terra burns, then Macragge lives. The Imperium endures. Do you know the real difference between me and Horace Lupercal, brother?
Tell me.
I don't want to be Emperor. Help me do this, brother. Help me keep what is left together. Help me preserve the human intent. Don't make argument with me and misinterpret my motives.
I want to trust you, Rabute.
Then do it.
But I have always been wary of your ambition. Your Imperium, then, this Imperium Secundus, this great scheme of survival. How do you intend to proceed? Do you intend to declare yourself regent?
I do not. I will not found an empire and then crown myself. Such arrogance would confirm every doubt and suspicion lurking in the minds of men like you.
Interestingly, the Emperor did the same, though. You know, he founded an empire and he declared himself the Emperor of it. So, you know, father like son, it can happen.
I need a figurehead for the public to rally around while I fight to keep the mechanisms of the Imperium turning over and protected.
But who then? Surely it must be blood.
Agreed. It must be a Primarch.
My dear Rabute, there are only two of us here.
No. There's three of you. It's Guilliman, it's Lionel Johnson, and it's Conrad Kurz. I'm not saying Conrad Kurz is going to become your emperor, but you know, you said there's only two of you there. It's three of you guys. It's not just two. But yeah, let's continue. Okay, let me just write that down. Part 1. Imperium Secundus. Yeah, I understand you 100%, Guilliman. I understand. I understand what you're trying to do. It's just that your brother, you know, he's a bit shaken about what has happened with Conrad Kurz and what's happened with Peterabo. He's a bit shaken. He doesn't know who to trust. Give him time.
The Lion and Guilliman meet upon the colossal grounds of Macragge City, crowds in their millions cheering. The Lion and his Dark Angels march in perfect drill. Thousands of warriors, armed with weapons even the Ultramarines had never seen before. The Lion and Guilliman meet face to face in the grounds.
I don't know. If I was a civilian on Macragge and I just saw this huge concentration of Astartes on the planet, I would be a bit nervous. Yes, they're humanity's protectors, but nah, man, this is just too many of you guys here. Too many.
Guilliman noticing for the first time that the Lion is slightly taller than him. After a small matter of ceremony, Fafnir Bloodrooder of the Space Wolves, honouring the tradition on Dulan, faced a Primarch as the Legion's champion, making a sensational strike. Caught by the Lion at the last moment, a cut so swift Guilliman admitted it would have taken him off guard. With a backhand the Space Wolf was cowed, and honour satisfied. The brothers walked side by side.
Okay, I wonder where did this Space Wolf come from? Was he here on holiday? On Macragge? Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, like, how many times have Guilliman and Lionel Johnson met each other? Because why would it be a surprise to Roberto Guilliman to find out that his brother is a bit taller than him? Or have they never met each other? Is this like the first time? Huh.
With their legionaries in step, onwards towards the fortress of Terra. Side by side the brothers conversed, the Lion prying Guilliman about how he had lit a beacon upon Macragge in the warp, and if he had found the true source of this war that ravaged the Imperium. The warp, Guilliman replied, both Primarchs dwelling on the ordeals their legions had faced in the years since the Horus Heresy had begun. Trust was a precious commodity, something the Lion had come to verify, as he believed Guilliman had committed a grave sin, usurpation. He wouldn't make the same mistake he did with Perturabo again. Within the fortress of Terra, the brothers alone met again in a chamber. The Lion noted that this place was a work of emotion, not logic, so unlike his brother. 20 seats with 20 banners, all from each legion, were draped upon them. 2 were left blank. It finally hit the Lion that 2 would never return, and 9 would never take their place. 20 sons would never again sit at the table with their father. The Imperium had changed forever, and the golden era they were building was falling out of reach.
It is a bit emotional and sentimental for Roberto Guilliman to do something like this. I mean, this guy's mind is thinking about various types of things, you know, things that involve the Ultramarines, things that involve Ultramar and the 500 worlds, things that involve the situation with the Horus Heresy. You know, he's dealing with a lot of things in his mind, and yet he still has time to actually think about his siblings, to think about his father, and to think what could have been. You know, all of them coming to Macragge and sitting in the fortress of Terra, having dinner on that table that he created there with the 20 chairs and the flags of the different legions. And of course, I'm sure there's one giant chair for the Emperor, you know, to sit there as well. Yeah, that's a bit weird and surprising from Roberto Guilliman. Yeah.
But sentimentality would not stop the Lion from his duty. Imperium Secundus, an empire forged on the ashes of the old Imperium. Terra was cut off by the warp storms. For all they knew, the Emperor was already dead, so they had to bring together what was left.
If the Emperor died, I'm sure you guys would have noticed. There would be signs. You know, there would be the biggest demon party this galaxy has ever seen. The biggest. You know, it would be chaos. Unlimited, unrestrained. Just one huge, big demon shebang. You would know. You would know if the Emperor died. Yeah.
The tactical choice, but also one of hope. The Lion distrusted his brother instantly. It only reinforced his paranoia of the empire builder he always knew Guilliman to be. Was he simply another traitor? Not one of the warp, but one of his character. But yet he saw a level of honesty from Guilliman he wasn't capable of. Unnerving for a man who kept his true thoughts to himself constantly. The Lion saw the merit to Guilliman's plans, but the question remained. Who would become the symbol? Who would become the one to bend the knee? Who would become Emperor Regent? Who would become the new Emperor? In a banquet celebration for the arrival of the Dark Angels, the Lion and Guilliman sat with their men until the klaxons boomed across Macragge City. Mass orbital launch, 400 drop pods rocketed towards Guilliman's home. The Dark Angels had begun their assault. The Lion immediately felt a wash of shock rush over him. He had not authorized this. Guilliman and his men drew their weapons, furious at the impending assault upon their world.
If you didn't organize this, Lion, then who did? Are there chaos agents in your legion already? Because that's what Conrad Kurz was talking about. Well, he was talking about your homeworld of Caliban, so maybe not. Yeah.
Guilliman looked into his brother's eyes and read the shock on his face. Even if this had been unplanned, the Dark Angels were in waiting. They had put plans in motion to destroy the Ultramarines. "Please," the Lion said, holding his brother's gaze. The shields of Macragge would incinerate his men. The Lion swore to his brother he didn't order the assault. The time ticked away, until the furious Guilliman relented, and allowed the safe landing of the First Legion. Even now it was difficult for Johnson to break that wall he had built so long ago, to be honest with the brother he had so many doubts about. But Guilliman had been honest. Johnson believed him, even if that belief didn't come with the Lion's full trust. He finally explained the source of the unsanctioned drop assault. A previous prisoner who had been running rampant upon his ship. Conrad Kurz.
Hey, look who it is.
The Night Haunter. Guilliman grabbed his brother by the throat and slammed him into a marble wall, shattering the stone behind. The Lion kept his hands by his side, as his face finally showed emotion by contorting to a snarl. "You brought that monster to my world," Guilliman roared. The Primarch of the Ultramarines' anger was obvious, in contrast to the repressed fury of the Lion. But his anger, and Guilliman's handling of him, was nothing in comparison for his failure to capture Kurz since Thramas. The two...
Yeah, but wait, he didn't capture Kurz on during the Thramas Crusade? I thought he did. I thought he captured him and he brought him aboard his vessel. And now he's free. He escaped once again from his vessel. Right?
The secret between the two Primarchs was breaking their bond. They were at each other's throats, just as the Night Haunter wanted. The Lion and Guilliman swallowed their anger. The Night Haunter was upon Macragge. He was the priority, and they would hunt him together. In the Sotha chamber room, the Lion and Guilliman chased their insane brother, finding the stalking, gaunt creature that was Kurz, taunted by Barabbas Dantioch and Alexis Pollux. The latter saved as he was dragged through the light of the Sotha device, the Pharos beacon.
The Sofa device? Sofa. No, I'm not hearing TheAmberKing correctly there. I'm not hearing him correctly. The Pharos device, okay. What is the Pharos device? Right.
The communication and light in the warp for Macragge. Guilliman's secret.
So what? It's like the Astronomicon? Okay.
The Lion and Guilliman stepped forth alone. They would deal with their brother. Too many of their sons' lives had been lost to this monster. The cackling Kurz faced them, a stark figure of lean, long bones and hollowed frame. He looked like a starving giant.
Guilliman! Lion!
Towering yet emaciated. His tattered black cloak flowed from his shoulders as the Lion and Guilliman pushed forward with their blades drawn. The Night Haunter twisted and darted around them, prowess fueled by savage madness as the Lion and Guilliman struck out. Metal sang in discordant clashes as Johnson and Guilliman tried desperately to pin down the Night Haunter.
Imagine, it's 2 against 1, 2 Primarchs against 1, and still Conrad Kurz is running circles around them, you know. He's a menace. He is truly a menace.
Amongst the marble ruins scattered with their sons' corpses, Kurz struck the Lion in the neck, Johnson feeling the grievous wound. As Guilliman bashed away the Night Haunter, Conrad's maniacal laughter grew as he began
Guilliman! Lion!
and to run, telling the two Primarchs that death would welcome them. Pollux and Dantioch began to roar, to their liege lords to run, as the building around them evaporated into a flare of white, the explosive set beneath by Kurz detonating. All of the Dark Angels and Ultramarines screamed in horror as their Primarchs vanished from their sight. It was all white, so bright even his eyes couldn't see through it. Then a large yellow gauntleted fist reached down to help Johnson to his feet. the hand of Alexis Pollux. Around him was polished black stone, a chamber full of equipment, Pollux, Dantioch, and Guilliman. Sotha. The Primarchs had been teleported to the distant world of Sotha, an act achieved by the Pharos device, the beacon in the warp that had drawn the Lion to Macragge. But again for the Lion the paranoia crept in.
So this Pharos device or Pharos beacon really is like a Astronomicon. Maybe not as strong as the Astronomicon, but you know, it's still visible within the warp. Okay, interesting. That's really interesting. And this device was able to teleport them to the planet of Sotha. Huh. So it's like the... What's that device that Lionel Johnson has? Let me just go back to that page. The Tolcha engine. Sorry guys, I can't pronounce it. But yeah, that engine that he uses for teleportation, it's similar to that, I wonder. Okay.
Guilliman, using technology he didn't fully understand. Things even the Emperor did not dabble with.
Lion, don't throw stones in a glass house. You are using that Tolcha engine that you barely understand, that you barely know about. You're using it for strategic purposes. So why are you now, trying to be the bigger man against Rebute Guilliman? When you were in the same situation with Rebute Guilliman, using technology that you barely understand. Don't throw stones in a glass house.
And even then, trusting his protection to Dantioch, a previous Iron Warrior and son of Perturabo. But did this concern come from Guilliman's ignorance of this technology, or the Lion's own guilt for committing the same sin with the Tolcha engine? The Lion
Tolcha. Oh gosh.
and Guilliman sat upon the sands of Sotha, frustrated as the Pharos recalibrated back to Macragge, angry at themselves for the havoc Curse was wreaking upon Macragge City in their absence. The Lion had never sat still for so long, never been so powerless. With the Pharos recalibrated once again, the Primarchs were in communication with their relieved sons. Guilliman crossed the boundary once again, his emotions at reunifying with his men, and his adoptive mother bridging the gap, powering the Pharos device, only for the Lion to be stricken with frustration. He couldn't cross. He couldn't will himself over like Guilliman, until his brother extended his hand. "I need you here, with me, brother." The Lion stepped through, and clasped his brother's hand. The empathic field couldn't read the Lion's sequestered, buried needs and hopes. The walls he had placed upon them were his crutch, but Guilliman's need for his brother, and his love, was enough. The Lion placed his other hand on top of Guilliman's, fully aware of the bond between them, one that had been tested, but is still held true.
Yes, you guys need each other in this dark reality that you're all facing. You need each other. You need to start trusting in each other. You need to be there for each other. You need to be honest with each other. Lionel Johnson, be honest with Guilliman, okay? You should have told him that you had Conrad Kurz aboard your vessel the moment you entered into the orbit of Macragge. You should have told him, hey, I have one of the traitors on board. Something like that, yeah, something to that effect, yeah.
Once again, the Lion and Guilliman set off to find the Night Haunter, and the rumoured giant who had been seen battling him across Macragge City. Another brother was found upon Macragge.
Vulcan.
The Lord of Drakes. Vulcan. Vulcan lived. But more news came to the Lion and Guilliman, news that filled both of them with hope. From the edge of ultramarin space, another fleet crested the heart of the gathering Imperial forces. Ships of gold and scarlet red burst forth.
Sanguinius.
The Blood Angels and Sanguinius had arrived. The three brothers stood vigil over the body of the Lord of Drakes, Vulcan. An unmovable spear of fulgurite lodged in his chest, pierced there by Curse and forces that aided him.
Curse had forces that aided him? Who are those forces? Are they Night Lords? Did they follow their Primarch to Macragge? Or were they also captured by the Dark Angels and brought aboard the vessel that held Conrad Curse? Probably that's the situation there. But yeah, just pull out the spear out of Vulcan. He'll come back. He'll come back. Just give him time. Just give him time. He'll regenerate. He'll come back.
The brother did not rise from this death, and the sight of it broke their hearts. The Lion, Guilliman and Sanguinius sat down together. The events of last night alone have made me value life and kinship more than ever. We have lost another brother, and Macragge, great hearthstone of the 500 worlds, was almost brought low by the deeds and machinations of just one determined traitor. I have witnessed the venom of our enemy. I have seen the sad fragility of those assets and lives that remain to us. Rubuti and I do not think alike on many subjects. We disagree, but we also stand together. Loyal, we fight for the Imperium. Terra was cut off. The Emperor may be dead, but the Imperium had to continue. Johnson saw that now. Guilliman was right. They needed to keep the flame alive, and they needed a public figure to rally around. It must be blood. It must be a Primarch.
So, to keep that fire burning, you must put in 3 logs. Those 3 logs are Rubuta Guilliman, Lionel Johnson, and Sanguinius. You know, those are the 3 logs. Put those 3 logs into the fire, it will continue to burn. Yeah.
To crowds of millions upon millions, a sky swarmed with ships, and banners waving in the wind. Legionaries of black, blue and red stood in parade and saluted. The crowd's cheers were deafening as they looked to the 3 Primarchs. On the right stood Lion L. Johnson, Lord Protector. On the left, Guilliman, Lord Warden. And in the center, Emperor Regent Sanguinius.
Hold on. Sanguinius, Emperor Regent, Lord Protector, Lion, Lord Warden, Guilliman. Okay. Alright.
Imperium Secundus was born.
I am the Lord Protector. It is my duty to ensure our defense from any threat, be it from outside or within. There is no greater threat than Curse, a canker right here on Macragge. Perhaps even still within the Civitas, regardless of our brother's assertions. Toys with us, distracts us, perverts us from the goals we seek. While he is here, nothing is safe.
But you know what surprises me? That someone so big, you know, a literal giant like Conrad Curse cannot be found by you guys. Like there's no CCTV cameras on Macragge. Guilliman, what type of security do you have on your planet, man, that you cannot find someone who cannot hide like Conrad Curse? Well, Conrad Curse is the Night Haunter from Nostromo, so yeah, he knows how to, you know, walk in the shadows, walk in the darkness. But still, it's a Primarch. You can't miss these guys.
Imperium Secundus cannot grow.
What are you asking for?
I ask for nothing.
The Lion glanced over his shoulder in irritation and returned his gaze to the Emperor.
You have given me what I need already. You appointed me as Lord Protector, and oaths were sworn. It is upon my honor to uphold the responsibilities placed upon me, and it is upon yours to let me do so.
There can only be one Emperor.
The Lion whirled about, stopping himself an instant from striking the Primarch of the Ultramarines.
Guys, stop fighting. Sanguinius, please stop them before they start throwing punches at each other. Hey, Guilliman. There can only be one Emperor.
Guilliman stepped back, startled.
And I will protect him!
The Primarch of the Dark Angels roared. He threw out an imploring hand to Sanguinius.
Brother, stand by your oaths. Free my hand from the bondage of personal niceties. You entrusted your life to me. Now it is time to prove that trust.
What would you do?
Asked Sanguinius. He looked at Guilliman for a second, and then back at the Lion.
What has our brother not done that you will?
Crag has been a fortress from without, but it must be fortified from within. Martial law, a total suspension of contact with any ships that have not been thoroughly inspected. Quarantine, if you will, curfew, searches, surveillance and investigation without limit. There will be no shadows to hide Kurz, no cracks for him to move along, no gaps to fall through. Nothing will pass upon the face of Macragge without my knowledge.
The Lion slowly closed his fist.
I agree. Give him... I mean, he's already having the title of Lord Protector. You know, let him protect. Let him do his job.
As if he held the world in his hand.
It is what our brother has done that I will not, that is more the matter.
And what is that?
Shown restraint.
It was several seconds of silence before Guilliman spoke, moving past the Lion to stand next to Sanguinius.
The decision is yours, my lord. I would not allow this. It moves against everything we have sought to build. The new Imperium will never be broken from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves.
Sanguinius nodded, and the Lion took in a sharp breath. He was ready to make further argument for his case, but the Blood Angel met his gaze and silenced him with a look.
What you say is true, Robute, but only to a point. Our brother is right. We must each be a pillar of the new Imperium, and if we remove one support, the whole edifice will crumble. Kurz will not stop unless we stop him. With the beacon of Sotha reduced to a fraction of its power, the Imperium will need strength and guidance more than ever.
Is it called the Beacon of Sotha or the Pharaoh's device? I'm kind of confused on that. The Beacon of Sotha, or is it called the Pharaoh's Beacon or the Pharaoh's device? Which is it? I'm a bit confused on that part, but okay.
That is your task. Though we have defeated many foes of late, the war is not over. There are many battles to be waged. It is for this reason we swore to uphold the commands of our brother from Caliban. If he is not worthy of such a duty, then you cannot be the statesman of the Imperium, and I cannot be its emperor.
Guilliman signalled his capitulation with a resigned look and a nod of the head. The Lion looked at Sanguinius and could only guess at the new emperor's thoughts. Was he simply acting as a peacemaker, maintaining the illusion of hope until his foreseen demise? Or did he truly believe in Imperium Secundus and the part it would play in guiding the future of mankind? Did it matter? Not to the Lion. He knew what needed to be done. It had been his weakness, his hesitation on Sogwalsa, that had allowed Kurz to escape. This time he would leave nothing to chance. Before the winter finished, Kurz would be dead by his hands. It was a pleasing thought, and he suppressed a smile as he bowed to Sanguinius.
Thy will be done, my emperor.
You know, I have to thank you, Sanguinius. I mean, if the Emperor Regent was any other Primarch, I don't think this Imperium Secundus would have lasted as long as it has. You know, if it was any other Primarch, they wouldn't be able to control these two opposing forces. They wouldn't be able to control Robute Guilliman and Lionel Johnson. Really, these guys are at each other's throats. They want to they want to fight against each other sometimes. So yes, luckily the Emperor Regent is Sanguinius, and really he is his father. In terms of how he talks, how he tries to, find the middle ground, and how he commands the other brothers. He truly is like his father. Yeah, if it was any other Primarch,
You have doubts, brother?
The Lion stated it without question, and knew Guilliman was required to answer as the two of them paced along a long balcony on the southern aspect of the fortress of Terra. 30 meters below them, a company of Praesatal Guard marched towards the poor Terra, their footfalls in unison. It was almost dusk, the day spent in long discussion about the Imperium. Sotha, in the preparation for the declaration of Legatus Militant, that would suspend the civil authorities of Macragge and hand executive power to the Imperial Triumvirate.
No, I have fears, brother. Grave fears.
The Lion stopped and looked south across Macragge Civitas. The city was sparkling with thousands of lights as twilight encroached, and beyond he could see the blue plumes of plasma jets rising from the landing fields. He could smell salt amongst the fumes of traffic and people as the wind shifted to come in from the sea. His silence invited Guilliman to continue.
Every action begets a reaction. Have you considered that Kurz wants us to assume absolute authority? He wages a different war from us, for objectives we cannot guess at.
I mean, if you guys are not going to initiate this martial law, then Conrad Kurz is just going to continue roaming around Macragge or wherever and just cause havoc, cause pandemonium and chaos in whatever shape or form. So at least now you can try and concentrate on containing him on the planet and then further narrowing it down to where he is, making sure that he's not able to escape. Yeah.
Is insane, lashing out blindly at any target. A wounded, maddened animal trying to protect itself.
I think there you are wrong, Lionel Johnson. There is a method to his madness. There is a method to his insanity. Yes, to us it might sound like this guy is crazy, but in that mind of his, he's formulating plans, he's manipulating you guys, he's making you guys do what he wants you to do. It's not just that he's crazy or he's mad or he's desperate. No, there's a method to it.
You heard Lord Sanguinius's account as well as I did, brother. Kurz's madness has an end game. He seeks justification, affirmation, retaliation. You are giving him that.
The Lion thought about this, knowing that he owed his brother the courtesy of proper consideration.
The alternative is to let him wreak havoc across Macragge, across the Imperium. Our new Emperor said it. He must be stopped.
That is not what he said.
Guilliman argued.
But it is what he said. That is what Sanguinius said. He said that Conrad Kurz has to be stopped and let the Lord Protector, who is Lionel Johnson, do his duty, his responsibility in terms of stopping Conrad Kurz and all other potential threats to the Imperium Secundus. That's his job. Your job is to maintain the continuation of the Imperium Secundus. So what are you trying to say here? I don't get you, Robute. I like you. I like you a lot. But it seems like when you're with your brothers, it seems that for some reason you just want to fight, especially with Lionel Johnson. You want to fight with him. I can see that. You want to fight with him.
The Primarch sighed and turned away, leaning his back against the pale stone of the bastulate.
The practical application of more security brings about consequences that theory cannot predict.
Such as?
We are asking my legion to stand against their own. This is Macragge, the world of the Ultramarines. Many of my warriors have connections here, family ties.
I thought Imperium Secundus involved all three legions. You know, the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, and the Ultramarines. Why aren't you all joining forces to deal with this matter? Why is it only the Ultramarines responsible for the martial law upon Macragge? It should be all three legions working together, joining forces to capture or to kill Conrad Kurz. Why is it only the responsibility of the Ultramarines? This is Imperium Secundus now. It's not the Ultramarine homeworld. It's the homeworld of the Empire.
We were never meant to rule directly. You must understand the potential conflict this generates.
Unforeseen consequences are just that, brother. What ruin will Kurz bring about if we do not curtail him now? I cannot conceive of such a future.
The best thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time. Tomorrow will bring protest.
But Guilliman, why don't you tell the people what's going on? Why don't you tell the citizens and the entire population of Macragge that we have a fugitive on the planet? He is a very powerful, dangerous individual. He is a Primarch. We are looking for this person. We are searching for this person. And because of that, we have decided that we are going to, make a lockdown or a martial law on the entire planet of Macragge until we find him. And I'm sure your people will understand. Your people trust you. Bring them into your confidence. Don't shut them out and just tell them that there's a martial law without explaining to them why is there a martial law. And when you have your people in your confidence, they will help you. They will assist you in searching for Conrad Kurz. It will be even more difficult for Conrad Kurz to find places to hide when everybody is now notified that, hey, there's a giant with some, shark-like teeth, and he's skinny, and he has these black beady eyes, and he has this long, wet, black hair, and it's a Primarch. They'll be able to notify the authorities as soon as possible if they should ever have any sort of sighting of this man. So you'll have even more eyes, more security, more awareness about what's going on within, or should I say, on the planet of Macragge. Bring your people into your confidence. Explain to them what's happening. And I'm telling you, they'll help you out. Then there won't be any need for protests. There won't be any need for people to start worrying about what's going on. Or they'll be fighting against the government because it looks cool, to fight against the authority. Yeah, tell them, guys, there's a Primarch running around here. We're looking for him.
How will we deal with that?
You will deal with it, brother. As Lord Warden, it remains your duty. I will be busy commanding my legion.
You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today.
I evade nothing.
The Lion looked at Guilliman and could not guess what his thoughts were.
I evade nothing. I need nothing. Lion.
It was a hard task the Ultramarines Primarch had taken upon himself. The Dark Angel sought to alleviate some of that burden, allowing his brother the time and space to perfect the design of his creation.
And you need not concern yourself with conflicts of interest. My warriors will show no fear or favor in the application of their duties. Your legion's hands are clean.
You cannot mean...
Guilliman stared, looking in shock at the Lion.
You cannot bring your legion to Macragge.
I have already issued orders, brother. You have admitted that your warriors cannot be trusted to guard their own.
You think you can usurp me on my own world?
It's not your world anymore, Guilliman. You said that this is the capital of Imperium Secundus, did you not? So this planet now belongs to the three of you. It belonged to the Imperium Secundus. It's not yours anymore.
Guilliman was almost hoarse, throat tightened by his distraught state.
Our world, the cradle of the new Imperium. Caliban lies beyond the ruin storm, far from my reach. Half my legion I left under the command of Corswin. I have given up my home, my warriors, to join this endeavor. What are you willing to sacrifice?
Horus had tried to take the Imperium for himself, and Guilliman had decided to build a new one, as much as he did not want to belittle his brother. The Primarch of the Dark Angels knew that there could only be one winner in the war to come. There would be no second place. Curs had to be dealt with at any cost. Any cost. Even Guilliman's pride. The Lion stepped close, his voice dropping.
Do you trust me, brother?
When you say it like that, Lion, I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should trust you. Why are you saying it to him like that? No, man. Do you trust me? Now, the Triumvirate.
Imperium Secundus. The flame of the Imperium kept alive the other side of the ruin storm. The Lion has come to see if Guilliman has betrayed the Emperor, and he finds many things to his distaste. But he recognizes the hope and unity this could bring. But he and Guilliman clash too much. Their own ideas and way of operating grate against each other. Both are neither fully capable of trusting the other completely, nor bending the knee to the other and allowing them to become the figurehead of this new Imperium. But the Lion could trust Sanguinius. For all Emperor-like the Lion was in his convictions and demeanor, he could never be the symbol that Sanguinius could be. Though part of him desired this authority, the need to push through decisions, not to be accountable to others. The Lion is a warrior, he is a hunter. He recognizes that he is best served on the front lines, and he recognizes the nobility in Sanguinius, his fairness. The Lion comes to terms that Imperium Secundus is the best move, yet it does not alleviate his worries for the Emperor, for Terra, and for distant Caliban which he has not seen for mere decades. He has decided to put all these concerns on hold, and to give Imperium Secundus a true chance. Despite the fact that over the Thramas Crusade, Conrad Kurz many times had taunted the Lion that he did not know what was happening upon distant Caliban, that there were rumors of rebellion. But the Lion dismisses this, as he has left Caliban in the trust of his adopted father Luther. But the Lion struggles with the fact that he has a new master, even if it is one that he has bent the knee to. Sanguinius is fair, but he does not understand the Lion in the way the Emperor did. The Lion barely needed to talk to the Emperor. Such was their level of understanding. Their minds were often one. But to Guilliman and Sanguinius he has to justify and explain himself. Something incredibly difficult for a man who always keeps his secrets. But if Imperium Secundus is to succeed, he needs to trust his brothers. Imperium Secundus, the beacon of hope for the Imperial forces on the far side of the ruined storm, had met with adversity. The Pharaoh's beacon upon distant Sotha had been broken by an attack from the Night Lords, dimming the light in the warp that had called the survivors to Macragge. The Lion had travelled to dozens of worlds within the realm of Ultramar, using the Totolcha engine, hunting down the rumours of the Night Haunter.
With the Totolcha engine, can they not just teleport from Macragge all the way to Terra? Or is the Ruin Storm also preventing the teleportation to occur, between Macragge and Terra? Because this device can teleport you almost anywhere within the galaxy, I'm assuming it should be possible for it to teleport you all the way to Terra, right? Or maybe the Ruin Storm really is also affecting that, because the Totilta engine also uses the warp, if I'm not mistaken, right? It uses the warp for you to teleport from one point to the next. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. If I'm wrong about that, guys, you can explain to me in the comments below. Yeah.
Upon many planets, the Lion found warbands of traitor forces, such as the Word Bearers, seeing now truly the disgusting rituals enacted by those who worship this chaos, desecration, even entire monuments of bone, made from the populations of planets. We have come. We are death. We have come. We are death was chanted through the helmet grills of the First Legion, as they faced these traitors upon every world, scouring for traces of Conrad Kurz.
We have come. We are death. We have come. We are death. Huh. Okay, little brothers.
Only for upon Johnson's return to Macragge, he discovered that Kurz had never left. The news sent shivers of shock down his spine, and Guilliman believed for the first time, on that face which never showed emotion, he saw a hint of a soul-grinding rage. But just as quickly the Lion's thoughts turned to the Emperor Regent Sanguinius. He was unharmed, but had been visited by their treacherous brother Kurz.
Basically, Kurz just made you into a big fool, Lionel Johnson. He spread rumors about his appearance on different worlds across the Imperium Secundus, but he's been here this whole time. This whole time he's been on Macragge. Wow.
To the library of Ptolemy the Protector, Warden and Emperor Regent went, discussing how they would deal with their traitorous brother, who haunted Imperium Secundus' progress. The Night Haunter was insane, vengeful against the Emperor who he believed had by fate made him a monster. Yet underneath all this was a brother seeking, in a way, forgiveness, permission.
In this image of Sanguinius, why does he look like Fulgrim? He looks like Fulgrim. The way he's standing, the pose, and the hair, and the face. He kind of looks like Fulgrim. Huh. Well, yeah, with Fulgrim, his hair was like, I don't know if it was blonde or was it silver, I'm not entirely sure. But really, he just needs the purple clothing and some sort of, golden accessories, and then you look like Fulgrim with angel wings.
The Lion saw a deep melancholy within his brother Sanguinius' words. The source of it something he would not share, but the Lion even now kept his own secrets. He was not one to pry. The brotherhood between the three Primarchs was showing its cracks. The Lion felt a fury take over him. Guilliman, how could he allow Kurz to get so close to their Emperor? Something Guilliman retorted with, where was he? The Lion. He is the Lord Protector.
Sanguinius, stop them. Stop them, your brothers are fighting again.
Yet he was off in the stars hunting rumors on his own, and keeping his own movements secret from them. His own Warden and Emperor Regent. The Lion warned.
That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good, Lionel Johnson. I can understand not telling civilians or, other military personnel about your whereabouts, but then not telling your brothers? No. You want them to trust you, but you don't trust them. How are you able to have a working relationship if you guys cannot trust each other? No, man.
Insult me again, brother, and theoretically I will punch you in your practical face.
Sanguinius, please.
Lion and Guilliman almost came to blows, until Sanguinius stopped them. The Lion began to speak up. This Triumvirate was holding the Imperial forces together, but never before had the Lion felt such chains around him. For years now they had tried it Guilliman's way, of negotiation and stability, but now they needed to try it his way. Guilliman was incredible. The Lion knew he could give dozens of things his attention, a multitasker and administrator beyond even his capabilities. but he had never given anything his full concentration, like the Lion had. That was why he was not the warrior the Lion was, and why Guilliman couldn't be trusted to catch Curse, another Primarch, for he could not give that task his full attention.
Look, even if he could give it his full attention, one Primarch is not enough against Conrad Curse. We've clearly seen it. You know, you guys are the perfect example of what happens when one Primarch tries to fight or to deal with Conrad Curse. It doesn't work out well. And now that he's this superly, crazed person that's emaciated and, he's skinny and he just looks horrifying, terrifying. You're gonna need like at least 3 or 4 Primarchs to contain Conrad Curse. Really, he's dangerous. But when Roboute Guilliman is angry, all that focus collapses into one singular point, and then you will really know who Guilliman really is. He's no pushover. He's not a weak Primarch. He's a very powerful, dangerous Primarch, especially when he's angry. I mean, he choked you onto some marble wall, blaming you for not telling him about Conrad Curse. So yeah, when he's angry, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there.
Sanguinius gave the Lion his permission to do what was necessary. The Lion had fought Curse for years. He hated him. He had murdered so many of his sons, and he had brought that monster to Macragge. He would hunt him down just as he'd done to the beasts of Caliban. But just as the Lion gave his declaration to Imperium Secundus, Macragge City began to suffer attacks from within. The Illyrium Quarter. The Lion chastised his brother Guilliman again. Illyrium is non-compliant by any terms of definition. Your planet, the capital of the 500 worlds, has harbored dissident elements since the inception of the Imperium. They are not your citizens, brother. They do not want to be your citizens and will not serve the Imperium. They betrayed and killed your father, Connor. Again, the brothers almost came to blows.
Okay, so what is the Illyrium Quarter like a sovereign state on Macragge, but they have a relationship with the governing structures of Macragge? Okay, but they're not really a threat, Lionel Johnson. I mean, if Roboute Guilliman has negotiated with this Illyrium Quarter, and they are united on Macragge, then what's the issue? Why are you saying that they are not compliant? They're not in compliance with the Imperium of Man. All these people live on Macragge, so in turn they are compliant. Unless if they believe in gods, in different gods, and that is against the imperial truth, then I'll understand that, okay, it's a problem, but not to the extent to where you are taking it. It's not a really big deal. I mean, there's many other worlds, like other Primarchs worlds, where, they're not really compliant with the Imperium of Man. When you think about Logar's homeworld, they also believe in gods, or they have religion, I should say. They're not compliant. When you think about Trigoris, they're not compliant. When you think about, like for instance in this situation here on Macragge as well, where there's this small community that's not really compliant, but they're willing to look a blind eye to that situation because it's the homeworld of the Primarch.
Again, the contrast between the Lion and Guilliman flared. The negotiator and the hunter. The Emperor had sent the Ultramarines like diplomats across the expanse of the lost colonies of mankind, bringing them into the fold. But the Dark Angels were destroyers. the Emperor sending them to eliminate Xenos and all other threats. But in Guilliman's diplomatic means he had made peace with the Illyriums of the past, the ones who had once rebelled, and now again were rife with the resentment the Nighthawk had used against Imperium Secundus. The Lion wanted to eradicate them from orbit, wipe the slate clean, secure Imperium Secundus, so they could focus on getting to Terra, a point countered by Guilliman, who decried the sanctioning of Illyrium. There were innocent people who lived within. The Lion conceded on some points, but he had made up his mind.
Look, if you destroy the social fabric of Macragge for the sake of having a compliant planet, Lionel Johnson, you're making a mistake. There's already peace between the people of Illyrium and the people of the majority of Macragge, you know. There's already peace. A peace that was brokered by Guilliman. Now, if you disrupt that, you're going to create chaos, on this planet. You're going to create divisions. Once more, people are going to start dividing amongst each other because they've lost faith, they've lost trust in the central government that Guilliman has been leading for a long time. So don't do something like this. Don't try to fix something that isn't broken. There's no need to clear out those innocent people.
He would hunt Kurz personally and end it all. He would accept the enormous risk, because only one brother would survive this encounter. Standing inside the streets of martial Lord Illyrium, the Lion let himself be seen. From orbit he went against his assurances to Sanguinius and Guilliman. He launched radioactive munitions at the rebelling Illyrium forces, hiding in the mountains, and when the dust settled he set off for the tunnels that ran beneath, likely walking into the Nighthaunter's trap. He was so close, an end to Kurz in sight. He began to think of the future, a new War Master. Such was the prize he called to mind. Sanguinius' vision of death would not come to pass while the Lion wielded such terrible might. The Triumvirate would be the match of the Emperor lost, the power and majesty of mankind's saviour renewed.
How would that become possible when you act this way, Lionel Johnson? How will anything that you are dreaming about or planning about ever come into fruition when you go against the Triumvirate? When you go against your Regent Emperor, when you go against the, what is Guilliman again? The Lord Warden. When you make a promise and then you break it, how is anything like this ever going to work out? You didn't have to kill those people. You didn't have to kill those people. So whatever you're thinking about right now, it is pointless. It's not going to work because you cannot be trusted. You cannot be trusted. And you're also paranoid. You don't trust others. So how is anything here going to work out?
He would take the fight to Horus at the forefront of the legions, the finest augmented warriors dedicated to the most beloved of the Primarchs, recruited, organized, trained, and armed by the greatest logistician in the galaxy, commanded by its paramount general. Horus and his ragtag entourage of misfits and dissidents would be shown the true strength of the Imperium. In the dark and damp radioactive halls and caverns, the Lion, hunter of the forests of Caliban, once again stalked a beast. The who was hunting who was up for debate. Sword drawn, the Lion stepped into the ruins of a temple. All was darkness within. Just the ambient glow of background radiation and the light that peered down the stepped concentric levels that led down like an amphitheater.
I'm sure Conrad is gonna start laughing. Yeah, Lion!
It was time for death. 1 second to midnight. The Lion dived as he heard the claws rush above where his head had been. Kur's nightmarish face was just a meter away. Gaunt. No, more than that. Almost skeletal now. His flesh wasted to white skin and muscle. Not an ounce of fat between surface and bone. His eyes were black, glinting in the golden light of irradiated snow. Thin lips were drawn back in a mad grin, exposing dirty pointed teeth and withered gums. A tongue like a lizard flickered over the yellow fangs. As Kurz melted back into the darkness, the lion traced the steps of the conical circle.
You know, the other traitor Primarchs transformed into exotic creatures, if I can say that, after they have pledged themselves to the Chaos Gods. You know, like Matarian becoming this disgusting death moth nonsense looking thing. And then you have Fulgrim with his snake body and his, I think, 4 arms, right? Yeah, or maybe it was 6 arms. No, it's 4 arms, you know. And then you have Angron turning into this, I don't know what he he looks like a demon. Yeah, he's a demon, you know, with wings and has hooves for feet. And yeah, you know, different Primarchs transforming into different things. And then you have Conrad Kurz here, who does not worship any of the Chaos Gods, yet he's also transforming into some sort of hideous creature. Very interesting.
The pattern he had learned in Alderuk. The duel between the lion and Kurz was a blur of deadly strikes. Kurz's lightning claws meeting the lion's sword in sparks that lit the dark chamber. Kurz stalked the lion, skitterish taunts and maniacal laughter echoing throughout the chamber.
Lion!
This wasn't the time to play it safe. There was no time there for hesitation. No circumspect moment worrying about a counterattack. The lion threw himself at Kurz before he could vanish, slashing and stabbing at his foe as he turned to retreat. He caught a glancing blow across Kurz's calf, the tip of the lion's sword shearing through the midnight blue armor. Kurz.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm a bit too excited. The microphone just fell on the floor with the mouse. Sorry about that. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue.
Again began to draw the lion deeper within, dashing up the stairs, but finding to his confusion, the lion not following. Kurz had become predictable. A missile from above blasted the stairwell to pieces. Finally, the advantage was his. The lion rocketed forwards, towards Kurz, seizing the ranting and raving beast that was his brother above his head, and smashing his spine upon his knee.
You see what I'm talking about when I said this is the favorite move of the Primarchs? To break people on their knees. You know? Sanguinius did that. Horus did that as well. And now we're hearing Lionel Johnson doing the same thing. Also, Jagatai Khan has done that as well. You know, breaking enemies on their knees. Ah, wow. Really, I think this is something that the Emperor must have read into their genetic code, you know, in terms of when they are fighting against a particular enemy. This is what you have to do.
At his mercy, the lion screamed into his brother's face. Why did you betray our father? Only to be given answers of no satisfaction. Kurz was at his mercy. The lion had wanted him dead for so long. He could do it.
Do it. Do it.
End it all here. But he stopped himself. He was no longer the lost boy in the forest. He was a knight of Caliban. I am no murderer.
Say that again. Say that again, Lionel Johnson. Say that again. You're not a murderer. What did you just do to the people of Illyrium? What did you just do right now? What did you just do? What did you do to... what's his name again? Sorry guys, I need to look for his name. The Astartes that he killed. His little brother. What was his name? Nemiel. Yes, Nemiel. Did you not murder him? Did you not murder the people of Illyrium? So what are you saying you're not a murderer? You've killed people before. Kill your brother. Kill the traitor. Do it. What's so different about this one? What is so different about this one? The hypocrisy.
You will be executed, but not for my vengeance. For justice, I will not make you a martyr, nor vindicate your twisted ideals. In chains, the Lion dragged Curse before Emperor Regent Sanguinius and Lord Warden Guilliman. The trial of Curse had begun. The list of crimes against the Night Haunter was vast, but Curse protested. With venom in his eyes, and with a voice like scraped glass, Curse exclaimed how could he be tried as a criminal by a criminal, revealing to all assembled how the Lion had broken his vow to his brothers.
Checkmate. 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 Checkmate, Lionel Johnson. Conrad Curse has got you again. Checkmate.
And has struck the Illyrium quarter from orbit, something he swore to Guilliman and his emperor he would never do. The fury of Guilliman was like nothing the Lion had seen before. His brother marched up to him, tearing away his sword from his grip and snapping it in two across his knee. The Emperor Regent Sanguinius dismissed the Lion. The Triumvirate ended, and the Lion left, Curse's laugh echoing behind him. A boy.
It must be like, ah, Lion! No, well done. Conrad Curse, well done. Well done. Well done. He thought, like the Lion thought that he finally caught you, when in the end, he caught himself in this entire nonsense plan of his. He caught himself into it. Well done, Conrad Curse.
Aboard his flagship, the Lion sat in shame. He had gone too far. His need to complete the mission had blinded him. His mistake with the siege engines with Perturabo. Again he had let the end goal cloud him. Nemiel, his son who had questioned him, too, fell to that singular mindset. A new war master. How could he have been so foolish? Had the Emperor not warned him long ago not to seek recognition? Was this how Horus had fallen? But in his heart of hearts, had he been so singularly focused because he never truly processed his brother's betrayals?
You know, in terms of the War Master, I have stated that his betrayal happened before Davin. His betrayal, began when he thought that what the Emperor has decreed, in terms of human empires, either having to include, or should I say, become compliant with the Imperium of man or face destruction, should not be followed. Especially when it came to the Interrex. The moment he thought for himself as the War Master that he could decide that the Emperor's decree shouldn't be followed to the letter because of the Interrex and how advanced they are, and that it's possible to negotiate with them, he made a mistake right there. He made the wrong move. He was thinking through a traitorous mindset. That's when he betrayed the Emperor. That's when I think he betrayed the Emperor. Not during the Davin situation where he, came back from the dead and he decided to choose the side of chaos. No, it's before that. For me, I think it's when he was negotiating with the Interrex, when he shouldn't be doing that. He should be giving them an ultimatum, stating that you gotta kick these Xeno species out of your empire or we will destroy you. You have to join the Imperium of Man or we destroy you. It's as simple as that. And Horus thought he knew better than the Emperor. He thought his way was far better than how the Emperor has envisioned how the Imperium of Man should conduct its business with other human empires. That's when his treachery began.
Does any of it matter? He said to himself. A diminutive figure stepped out of the darkness of the throne chamber, a child's height. It wore an ebon robe, its hands concealed with gloves as black as the shadows, but underneath the mantle of 2 eyes burned like embers. A watcher in the dark. The one...
Oh, a watcher. Okay. The watchers, what are they exactly? Are they like spirits? Or something else? I'm not entirely sure what. Yeah, I think it's just more information that I need to read up on when it comes to Lionel Johnson and his planet of Caliban and the First Legion. And yeah, because I don't know what exactly are these watchers. Are they spiritual entities, well, warp based entities, or something else?
who had advised him at times over the years had nothing to offer him now, only more questions. The lion had been banished. To Caliban the dark angels would return. Maybe there can be some resistance there to the madness that gripped the galaxy. But on the edge of departure something overtook the lion. Conrad's words. His fate to die as an assassin not born yet. Sent by the Emperor. Immediately the lion ordered the Totolcha engine to teleport him back towards Macragge. In the throne room a white light emanated. As Sanguinius' sword almost fell upon Kurz' neck. Johnson and his son Holguin teleported into the chamber, all weapons drawn upon them. Kurz and Sanguinius' visions were true. The lion exclaimed. Kurz would die at an assassin's hand sent by the Emperor in the future. Therefore, the Emperor lived. Terra still stood. The Dark Angels, Ultramarines and Blood Angels assembled. Hundreds of thousands of Astartes.
I don't think I like this image of Sanguinius. I don't know. He looks fat. He looks fat. He looks like some sort of French emperor, like in the Renaissance era or something. Yeah, he looks like King Louis the 15th or 14th. I can't remember. Yeah, he looks like a French king. Yeah, I don't think I like him like this.
Millions of mortal men and 3 Primarchs launched to the stars. Their destination, Terra. They would find a way to break the ruin storm.
I am not Horus.
No, you are not. And you are not what he has become. But remember, brother, remember what he was. I remember. I remember how wise I thought our father was to make him War Master. I remember Horus's doubts, how he wondered if he was worthy of the task. How could this brother turn on us? Remember that none of us saw his treachery coming. Our father didn't see it coming. Remember all of this, and remember that here is where Horus fell. Now tell me, you are certain there is nothing below?
He's right. I would like to know what happened to Horus.
Okay, where are you guys?
You think I don't? And if Sanguinius is correct, what then? Is our strategy to replicate Horus's era?
Guilliman turned back to Sanguinius, an eyebrow raised.
Where do you stand, Robute?
I wanted to hear you both out. We have a lot of data, but it does not point in a clear direction. We have just come through unambiguous evidence of the importance of Davin, but the necrosphere tells us nothing about how we should deal with the problem this world presents.
Okay, so they're at Davin. The Serpent Lodge is there on Davin too. Okay. What did you call it? Necrosphere? What is that? Necrosphere. Alright.
He drummed his fingers on the table.
On balance, I agree with the lion. Our enemy isn't here. It is somewhere in the necrosphere. You saw it, Sanguinius. You've done battle with it already.
Guilliman agrees with the lion? Since when? This is a unique occasion.
We can't fight it until it declares itself.
I agree. Destroying Davin may bring it out. In any event, I think a landing here will be a distraction.
It will not be. We have to know what is down there. We have to go.
He stared at the center of the map. No, they could not understand. There was someone who would, though.
I must speak with Conrad.
The lion snorted in surprise.
You think he will convince me?
No. Nevertheless, I would speak with him.
As Sanguinius reached the stratagem's door, the lion said,
I will take action, without delay.
You will be wrong to do so.
Sanguinius said, and left. The klaxons boomed through the corridors. The Invincible Reason was maneuvering into position for the bombardment.
Bombardment of Davin. Okay, so Lion wants to crack the planet. Guilliman also wants to crack the planet, but he's not entirely 100% sure that he wants to do that because he still wants more information about what happened to Horus Leprechaun, and Sanguinius wants to head down to the planet with Conrad Kurz. Okay? I support Lionel Johnson. Destroy the planet. Immediately. I don't want to risk you guys going down to that planet and, potentially being possessed by chaos. Rather be safe than sorry. Destroy the planet. I agree with the lion here. However, since the Triumvirate is now dissolved, you guys are still brothers. And I still think that the process of leadership should still be the majority rules. So if it's 3 against 1, then Sanguinius has to stand down. I still think that you guys should still have the structure of, the 3 of you making a determination or a decision on a matter. If the majority of you guys say no, then it's no. If it's yes, then it's yes. I think it should still be that way, but I can see the brothers have their own ambitions, their own, thoughts, and they want to proceed with their endeavors, no matter the cost. Still, yeah, even Sanguinius.
I have no authority over you. Nevertheless, I am giving this command. I will not be opposed in this.
Sanguinius placed his hand on the hilt of the blade in carmine. He did not draw it. The act was less a threat than a reminder. He had no intention of harming the legionaries. Physically opposing him, though, was more than they could do. He spread his wings, lifting them high. He filled the corridor and towered over the Dark Angels.
Do what your honor demands. Know that the responsibility for what happens now is mine, not yours. These events are beyond your ability to control.
The legionaries did not move, but they did not raise their guns.
Know this too. What I do for the Imperium. So does the Lion. Nothing that happens now changes this fact.
Sanguinius drew the blade in carmine and smashed the blade against the helm of one guard, splitting it open and staggering the Dark Angel. He whirled and seized the other guard before he could fire. He raised the Dark Angel and slammed him against the wall, his breath hissing with anger at the necessity of what he did. He struck both guards with the flat of his blade, hammering them into unconsciousness.
Forgive me.
He turned from them to a small chamber a few paces further up the hall. It was the guard post. He entered it, yanked open a plasteel vault, and took the chains and Nurim manacles he found inside. He returned to Kurz and worked in silence as he transferred the Night Haunter from the wall shackles to the new restraints. The beats of the klaxons continued, counting away the time before Davin's annihilation.
No threats. No warnings that I will die if I try to escape.
Escape to where, Conrad?
Well said. There is no escape for any of us, is there?
He took Kurz down from the wall. He shackled the Night Haunter's hands behind his back, but left his legs free. Kurz cocked his head at the sound of the klaxons.
I hear the blaring of your time running out.
There is time enough.
Kurz laughed as they ran past the fallen guards.
You know, I would have expected or suspected that the process of cracking a planet would be faster. You know, it would be almost immediate. Like, those weapons are prepared already. You just need to take out the safety pins or the safety locks, or, you know, switch off the safety locks, and then you can drop your payload on the planet. I thought that was possible. But it seems like there's an entire process that has to be followed through. You know, like loading of the guns with weapons, or should I say ammunition, that's designed to crack a planet. And it takes time. It takes time for this stuff to be prepared, and then you're able to fire it on the planet. But I thought it was immediate. You know, like the Death Star? That's almost immediate. That's almost immediate. Just fire, then it fires and it destroys the planet. But with the Imperium of Man, it seems like they have to take time. They have to prepare. They have to make sure that the weapons are ready. They have to do various steps before they're able to fire the weapons.
You do your very best to bring me joy, brother.
Sanguinius,
The Lion shouted through the Angel's Vox bead.
what are you doing?
What I must, as you are. But you are wrong.
You are setting us against each other. This is madness.
No, it is necessary. And it is fated.
He shut down the channel, cutting the Lion off mid-roar. Sanguinius opened a Vox channel to his chapter masters.
Launch drop pods. Immediate landing in the vicinity of the temple. All forces away now.
The Lion gripped the arms of his throne. He took a breath, forcing himself to see clearly through the red haze of anger.
Auspex, give me a trajectory.
What are your orders?
Steadius asked.
Do we shoot my brother down, you mean?
The Lion thought. Wood creaked beneath his grip.
Damn you, Sanguinius. Damn you for forcing that choice on me. Track it all the way down.
He knew where the Angel was heading. He gave the command solely because one was needed.
Why did he take Kurz? What sense does that make?
He acts according to his convictions. He is wrong. We must act for the Imperium.
The fleet is in position. Bombardment targets locked.
So noted, Captain.
Then Guilliman was voxing.
You can't fire now.
The Lion killed the Vox.
My lord,
I will have silence.
The Lion told him. The noise of the bridge fell to a murmur. Davin filled the oculus.
Don't do it, Lionel Johnson. Don't do it. You don't want to repeat the same mistakes that you've done before, right? Don't do it.
Its atmosphere streaked by the fires of the drop pod descents. The decision loomed before the Lion. He had to make it now. The madness of Sanguinius' actions convinced him even more firmly of the need to destroy Davin. The world was dangerous. It was attacking them even now, even though all the scans still showed no activity of any kind. Perhaps his existence was enough. It was a foul thing, and had to be purged from the galaxy. If this is what I must do then, destroy it and kill Sanguinius, precipitate war with the Ninth Legion, and possibly the Ultramarines as well, that would serve Horus well. And what is the alternative? Stay my hand and let this madness play out, allow Davin to wreak havoc, reach this point only to fall into a trap.
Yes, I'm saying take that chance. Take that chance. Because the chances of your brother turning against you guys and the legions after coming back from Davin is there, but it's slim. But if you destroy that planet where your brother has landed on, then definitely it's assured you're going to go to war with the Blood Angels and probably the Ultramarines as well. So yeah, just take this chance. Take this chance and let Sanguinius do what he has to do.
The destruction of Davin was an absolute imperative. If he had any doubts left after Epimos, they would have been burned away by Sanguinius' actions. The corrupted worlds must die, and Davin was the source of the corruption. "Give the order," said the inner voice of brutal necessity. "You know what must be done." The lion nodded to himself.
Captain, prepare to...
He stopped. His blood froze at the enormity of what he was about to say.
Cancel the bombardment. Prepare for a mass landing. We are taking Davin.
The lion stormed from the bridge. He marched through the corridors, his fury warning all, legionary and mortal, from his path. He did not stop until he reached Curz's cell. He dismissed the guards. He had no good reason for having come here. He hadn't consciously known where he was heading at first. He stood in the cell and faced the wall, staring at the empty manacles. He blinked and held up his right hand. There was a faint tremor in his fingers.
So close.
He whispered. He had come within a word of murdering his brother. A word. A malign influence has been working on me. An influence too subtle for him to feel its effects and resist them. Slowly and patiently, it had been leading him to ruin. The lion closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, the cell seemed too welcoming, as if he had come here to condemn himself. He grunted and stepped into the corridor. He slammed the door closed behind him. He felt no freer. There were chains around him, all the stronger because he was not sure of their nature. He voxed Guilliman.
Rabute, you must beware.
What have you done? You can't bombard!
I am not,
The lion interrupted.
but I almost did.
Guilliman fell silent, absorbing the implications.
Rabute, beware of yourself. Do not trust your impulses. Be sure of your decisions. I almost destroyed us.
It's good. It's good that you realize that, Lionel Johnson. A bit sad that it took you so long, but, it's good that you realize that. It seems to me that when it comes to your brothers, you tend to have a change of heart. But when it comes to the Astartes, when it comes to human beings, that's fair game. You can just destroy them. You can kill them. You can make those mistakes. But then when it comes to Conrad Kurz, when you had the chance to kill him, you didn't. And you said, no, I'm not a murderer. No, I'm Knight of Caliban. No, I'd rather have you face justice. The justice of the Regent Emperor Regent, instead of facing judgment by my blade, for me to complete my revenge against you. You have that change of heart when it comes to your brothers. But then when it's other normal people, or when it's your little brothers, you kill them. You kill them. You make that mistake twice, you walk away from it. You almost made the same decision with Conrad. You didn't. You almost made the same decision with Sanguinius, but you didn't. I find that quite interesting and sad. That it has to be the Primarchs that are the ones who are changing your heart, or making you understand that what you're doing is wrong. But it's not the people that you're fighting for. It's not the people that you claim to be your little brothers. They're not important enough in your life.
Davin, the world where it all began, the place where Horus fell to chaos. The Lion, Guilliman, and Sanguinius for years had tried to break through the ruin storm, finally coming into contact with the truth and the horrifying acts their brother legions have committed. Where early on in the Horus heresy, the Lion simply believed this was a human rebellion. And now he finally comes to terms with the truth that the source of this rebellion, this corruption, is from the warp, and it is unnatural. The Lion and his brothers have faced many threats, even coming into contact with the rippling wall of chaos on the planet of Primarchs. Many foul rituals dedicated to dark gods, and the scars of this so-called pilgrim that was travelling around the systems between Davin, leaving rumours and death. But finally they reached above the surface of Davin, and now that they are here, the Lion wishes to destroy it, to not even interact with this chaos. The secrets behind this Davin and this chaos truly frustrates the Lion. He can't see through it, and in his frustration he has closed himself off, retreating into the surety of annihilation. This surety draws an offhanded comment from Sanguinius, who compares the Lion's own to Horus's, something that truly angers the Lion, perhaps because there was a grain of truth to it. The Lion is determined to destroy Davin, despite what his brothers have said, until Sanguinius breaks the Night Haunter out from his hold within the Dark Angel ships. Sanguinius tells the Lion that he is wrong, and that he needs his brother's prescient abilities, and they will assault Davin. He will find the truth. The Lion sits with his finger on the trigger, ready to destroy Davin, but the Ninth Legion with it too, even his own brother. He comes so close to that moment, until finally he snaps out of it. His hands begin to shake. He walks to the prison where Conrad Kurz had been kept, thinking that he deserves to be here too. His distrust, his paranoia, all of it had been building throughout the Horus heresy, and in a moment where he came so close to murdering a brother, finally his paranoia and distrust has caught up with him, and he feels shame for his actions during Imperium Secundus and for what he was about to do. He saw now that his surety was an escape, something he dived into to give him confidence, because since the heresy had begun, in his heart of hearts he had been second-guessing every decision he had made. He had retreated into stubbornness, and that was his weakness. He needed to trust, needed to hear the wisdom of Sanguinius and Guilliman. He needed to believe in them. The Lion ordered the Dark Angels into the drop pods. They would assault Davin together. The journey to Davin had cost thousands of lives, as the forces of chaos had confronted them at every step. The Lion and his brothers had entered into the necrosphere, the megastructure boneyard of the infinite floating in space. It contained more than the skeletons of beings that had once been alive. They were the skeletons of dead vessels, of cities and of worlds.
I'm still not understanding what the necrosphere truly is. I'm not sure. But it is a structure in space, right? A very large spherical structure. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think I'm going to need to research more on this necrosphere. Okay. But they're heading down to Davin, right? Yeah.
The inanimate had turned to bone, iron and stone, alloy and gas. Everything was bone and cold and grey. The planets had rib cages now, and cities had skulls. It was the death of all dreams, the past and present and all to come. All the hopes died in the necrosphere. The Lion, Sanguinius, Guilliman and Conrad Kurz in chains walked up to the gates of the Serpent Lodge on Davin. Twilight had fallen, and two colossal iron doors formed the entrance to the temple.
Is anyone living in the temple currently, or is it just empty? Because I remember Erebus saying that he wanted to cut the throat of the, was it a priestess? You know, who cut his throat so that he could enter into the dream state that Horus Lupercal was in. Yeah, probably Erebus killed everyone in that place.
They were rusted. Their engravings of two serpents entwined around a spreading tree was worn down. The dust around them was red, The stone was red, but in the gloom of the evening all was grey. Amongst the abandoned rubble, the lion and his brothers saw nothing, but Sanguinius pleaded with them to see the greater pattern. Davin was a fulcrum. Fate changed here with Horus, and it would with them. Chaos had seen to that. The boneyard of sentient life. The necrosphere was designed to convince them that all here was dead. How close had the lion come to bombarding the planet and the blood angels with it? Could he see now that Davin was designed to corrupt them? But though the lion had come close, they all still stood. They were being manipulated, the lion recognized. But Sanguinius saw they still had a choice. They could defy fate. With those words, a portal opened in front of the brothers. Sanguinius stepped in as Kerr screamed, the revelation of choice, melting his worldview. The war portal held their brother, as demonic forces began to attack.
I remember that, Conrad Kurz is a fatalistic Primarch. He doesn't believe that he can change his destiny. Because of his abilities to see into the future, he already accepts that type of future, and he believes that going through that future is inevitable, that it's going to happen. He doesn't have that will within him to say to himself that, you know what, I'm going to change that fate. I'm going to change that destiny. Yeah. And now he's seeing his brother Sanguinius saying that I'm going to change it. I'm going to do something different. And it's completely blowing his mind.
Creatures of nightmare emerged upon Davin, and in the stars as finally the rumoured destroyer revealed itself. The Pilgrim, the Veritas Ferrum, the Iron Hand's flagship, and others of missing Astartes fleet vessels, bloated and corrupted with demonic power, surged towards the loyalist fleets. The Lion and Guilliman were frozen, and in frustration the Lion attacked the temple grounds, causing a flicker within the portal. A weakness. Johnson and Guilliman lunged forward and began to strike at the corrupted stone. Dust and shrapnel rained on the Lion's shoulders. A blast of demonic light hit him in the chest, scarring his armor. It forced him back half a step, but still he pushed on, as two demigods broke apart the temple grounds. It had to be them. It was symbolic. The act of two brothers saving another confounded the power of demonic influence, as if belief itself was just as important as the physical blows.
And Conrad Kurz was just there watching it all happen, screaming, "Ah!"
The journey to Davin had been as much symbolic as physical. There was a principle to the warp and its denizen that the Lion could still only see imperfectly, but appeared to be in the order of a reification of the abstract. Ideas became things, symbols became fortresses, and so we had to fight the demonic on the very ground that it gave so much power. The forces of the Imperium, land and sky battled hell itself, until finally Sanguinius emerged from the portal, locked in combat with a greater demon of chaos named Madial. The Lion and Guilliman charged at the greater demon.
Man, Sanguinius is always fighting against these greater demons. It's as if he's attracting them to him. always. Like I remember during the Siege of Terra, he was also fighting against another one of these great demons. Yeah, he's a great demon killing expert, definitely.
To join their brother, slashing and maiming the beast with everything they had. The Lion once again slaying a great beast, but despite the efforts of the Lion and his brothers, they couldn't destroy this creature, until the noble sacrifice of Sanguinius' herald pinned the demon in place. The demonic storm turned in upon itself, as the fleet finally unleashed their payloads upon Davin, the place where the heresy had begun, annihilated from this universe. The corrupted, bloated fleet eviscerated, as the Lion and his brothers retreated back to their ships. The boneyard of life itself, the necrosphere began to dissolve away. Davin died, as the Lion heard the cries from his navigators that the light had returned, the warmth of home. Terra
You can imagine. Ah! Oh, the light. Oh, Terra. Oh.
Terra, terror, they cried. The Lion, Guilliman, and Sanguinius convened. The road to Terra was open. The war blockade had been overcome, but not the forces of Horus. Only one of them could make it back to Terra. Sanguinius, eager to meet his destiny, would go. Guilliman would tie up the traitor fleets, but the Lion would go elsewhere. To the homeworlds of their traitorous kin he would voyage. Perhaps the destruction of that which they valued most would draw the forces away from the siege. The Lion...
It won't. It won't. They just don't care, really. They just don't care anymore.
had come to learn the value not of conquest, but annihilation when it came to this chaos. The Lion looked upon his brother Sanguinius, knowing the fate he would meet at Horus's hands if destiny played out. He looked to the brother he admired and loved, knowing that they would never meet again. With the power of the Totolcha engine, Chemos, Barbarus, Colchis, and Chthoniya burned, their people and history wiped from the material universe.
You know, like I've stated before, when it comes to human beings, when it comes to the Astartes, Lionel Johnson doesn't care, really. He takes unilateral decisions so fast, so quick. He kills everything, destroys everything, all in the name of, security or victory. But then when it comes to his brothers, he takes time to think about his actions. And then he's like, okay, no, maybe I should not do this. Maybe I should, take him to the Emperor Regent for him to face justice. I'm not a murderer. But then when it comes to civilians, when it comes to Astartes, it's fair game. He didn't even investigate these different homeworlds, whether they were converted into chaos. Because essentially he's just killing billions upon billions of innocent people. Yes, the Primarchs who betrayed the Emperor come from these planets, but it's not the planet's fault. And even in a strategic sense of saying, I'm destroying these planets to demoralize the traitor Primarchs, or have them being distracted and focus on their homeworlds, it's just not going to be valuable enough. It's not going to be a working goal. The best thing he could have done was to teleport all the way back to Terra. Teleport all the way back to Terra. Stop focusing on these planets and go defend the homeworld from the assault from Horus and the Primarchs who have joined him. That's what he should have been doing, instead of blowing up these planets filled with innocent people. At least he could have done was to send a reconnaissance mission to those planets for them to determine whether the planets have converted to chaos. If they haven't, you leave them alone. If they have, then you can exterminatus the planets. But he just does it. Without a second thought, he just does it. But then when it comes to the Primarchs, all of a sudden, I must think carefully. I must do things carefully.
The Lion himself questioning whether these acts blurred the line between tactical strategy or vengeance. Traitorous forces across the Imperium were annihilated in a crusade until the Lion approached the planet of Kievar, the homeworld of Corvus Corax and his Raven Guard, finding alive his brother Corax and a face he was not pleased to see, Leman Russ. The Lion had his doubts. Why did his brothers not make their way to Terra? Why were they not on the front lines?
Leman Russ tried to stop Horus Lupercal. One final time he tried to stop him with the Apollonian spear. It didn't Oh, okay, it worked, but it also didn't work. He tried to do something. Corvus Corax, I think he's dealing with his legion. I'm not entirely sure why wasn't he at Terra. But I know that he went back to Terra to talk to his father, and they discussed about his legion. And yeah, I'm not sure whether this happened before or after, Lion L. Johnson found them on his homeworld. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Leman Russ tried to stop him. His plan didn't really succeed.
But despite the Lion's doubts, they were loyal. An asset he could take with him on the crusade of vengeance, and then to Terra. Finally, the Lion and his allies roared their way towards the throne world. The light of the Astronomicon are building hope, only to be crushed as they arrived. The War Master Horus had been slain. The traitors had been scattered, but his brother Sanguinius had been slain. The Emperor was mortally wounded, and interned upon the golden throne as a carrion lord. A grief so deep, so profound washed over the Lion as he felt the dream and his oath die. All is ended, and all is madness, and nothing remains but vengeance for old scores, the Lion said to Russ. His anger, so blinding the world, blurred around him as his jaw clenched so hard his teeth almost broke. You should have been faster. It was your pride that kept you in the void, the Lion roared at Russ.
Yet again, Leman is blaming his brothers for things that are beyond their control, really. Like how he blamed Roboute Guilliman for the fact that Conrad Kurz was paying a visit to Sanguinius, saying that you should have stopped him, you should have been there. Lion, not everyone can be like you, not everyone can teleport like you. Why weren't you there? Why weren't you there? And you could have gone there far faster than anyone else. You have the Totalcha engine. You can teleport. Why didn't you teleport?
Drawing his sword, but Russ didn't raise his arms, seeing in his brother's words a condemnation of them both. The shame. The Lion ran his brother through, Russ accepting the grief and shame the Lion needed to exert with the blow. They had failed, and for a moment, the Lion unleashed the beast born upon Caliban, the one he had hidden underneath the layers of knightly oaths and training. The wound on Russ would heal, even if the shame of failing the Emperor would not. The Lion and the Dark Angels felt a quiet descend over them, a shattering truth that humanity was so close to a golden age, but now there would only be war. The traitorous forces that lingered in the galaxy needed to be purged, and for this the Lion would finally return to Caliban, ready for reinforcements and to see his homeworld. Into Calibanite space the scarred vessels of the Dark Angels returned. The Lion once again looked upon his true home, and hailed the man he had left its care in, his adopted father, Luther, only for the guns of Caliban to come to life with hateful fire. The Lion and the Dark Angels in space felt their ships rock as Luther and Caliban attacked their own.
Welcome home, boy.
The Lion was confused. This was Luther. This was his home. They had been betrayed by their very own. This was the machinations of chaos. It had to be.
Now that you have come to that conclusion, destroy your homeworld. It's so easy for you to destroy your traitor brothers' homeworlds. You didn't even bat an eye. You didn't even think about, is this planet converted to chaos or not? No, you just blew them up. But now that you've assured yourself that this planet is now converted into chaos, blow it up. Let's see you do it. You won't, will you?
The fury of the Lion was unlike anything the Dark Angels around him had ever seen. The Lion orders men to attack the traitors, and like tears of fire they rocketed down towards their homeworld. Angel fighting angel. The destruction upon Caliban was brutal, as thousands of Dark Angels raised under the manipulation of Luther threw themselves to the veterans of the Horus heresy. The The lion cut through the swathes of legionaries raised on Caliban, some who had never even seen true battle. Finally, the lion came face to face with the man who had raised him, Luther, only to see a twisted, bloated monster infused with the power from the dark gods.
He's bloated? Uh-oh. He might be part of Nurgle. Yeah, he might be worshipping Nurgle, or it could be Slanesh, but I think it's Nurgle. He's bloated? Ew.
What had happened to Luther in his absence? Upon that face that struggled to show emotion, the first signs of despair showed. A titanic duel began between the two within the walls of Alderuk, munitions and bombardments all around them. Swirled with the power from the dark gods, Luther matched the prowess of a Primarch. The clashing of steel and ceramite between those who had once been brothers ended, as the lion disarmed Luther. The lion had the resolve to execute his own sons, even to kill a brother Primarch. But here, looking upon his father, his brother Luther, he hesitated. An opportunity seized upon by Luther as he launched himself again at the lion, emanating a psychic attack that mortally wounded Lionel Johnson. Decades of resentment, of abandonment had built up to this moment.
I'm quite surprised, really. That he hesitates when it's the Primarchs. He hesitates when it's Luther. Yeah.
And when finally Luther had the man who had taken his achievements from him in his grasp, he too hesitated. He was killing his son. He was killing his brother. What had he done? How could he let himself be corrupted like this? The prize of the lion's death was ripped away from the Chaos Gods, and in their fury they launched a warp-infected attack upon the crumbling battlefield that was Caliban. The planet began to break apart, and those fallen, the Dark Angels that had sided with Luther, were scattered across space and time. But before Lionel Johnson, the Lord of the First, could be found, the Watchers in the Dark, the Xenos Protectors of Caliban, intervened.
Xenos Protectors. Okay, so they're an alien race. These Watchers are an alien race. They're not creatures of the warp, essentially. Okay.
Grabbing the mortally wounded Primarch and taking him to safety in their own sanctums, the Lord of the First was now believed dead, lost to his legion and the Imperium for the millennia to come.
I failed my father.
The lion says, the words coming unbidden to his lips.
I fear I also failed my brothers. I do not wish to fail my sons.
Yeah, why does he sound like this? Why does he sound so shaken, weak? Is it because of what Luther did to him with his psychic attack? And it's, it wounded him, and I guess he's still healing from that wound, maybe.
Sentiment is somewhat late.
The rearmost warrior says caustically. The lion looks over the marks on his armor, placing him.
Knight Sergeant Avgar is...
Knight Sergeant... Avgar. Okay. New person.
It is good to see you again.
I cannot say the same.
Avgar replies. His finger is not far from his bolt gun's trigger.
Whoa. Okay. Do you want to kill your Primarch, Avgar?
The lion suddenly wonders how wise this meeting was. He is unarmored, and even a Primarch has reason to fear a point-blank blast from a plasma gun.
I presume Zavriel explained that I placed no onus on you to come here? I was deceived by Horus 4 years, while he pretended to be loyal to the Emperor. I was deceived by my brothers, and I was deceived by the powers they served. When I returned to Caliban, it seems that many of us were deceived again. I witnessed Luther wield foul sorcery of the kind I had only seen used by the traitors. But I now believe that many of my sons who were on that planet with him had been deceived as well, and knew nothing of his fall. I am trying to see past deception to the truth and leave recrimination aside.
It is very convenient that you should come to this conclusion now you have returned to an Imperium in ruins and seek to rebuild it once more.
Afkar says sarcastically.
Okay, so he has returned to the Imperium because the Watchers, took him to their own, dimension or sanctum, and now he's back 10,000 years into the future. Okay, but why does he sound this way? Why does he look old like that? He's not that young man that we saw during the Imperium Secundus or during the road to Terra. Now he's this old person, and Primarchs don't grow old. I mean, they're immortal. But here is Lionel Johnson sounding like a grandpa, looking like a grandpa.
He removes his helmet, and his dark, distrustful eyes lock onto the lion's own.
Where was the benefit of the doubt when you had most of a legion at your back?
I learned to survive on Caliban by acting with certainty. That was a mindset I took with me into the galaxy. It evidently was not foolproof. Perhaps, burned as I was by betrayal and grief, I reacted too swiftly and with too much choler. However, Caliban fired on its own brothers without warning. If you truly believe the fault was mine alone, why are you here?
Can this truly be our Primarch?
The swordsman interjects, waving the hand that does not rest on the pommel of his blade.
His height is right, Zabriel, but his visage is much changed.
Zabriel. Okay. Okay, who is Zabriel? Yeah, there's so much I still need to know about the First Legion. Know about the Dark Angels, really. There's still so much I need to know about these guys.
And he is less vengeful than I expected.
The lion's temper flares at being spoken of in such a casual manner, but he keeps a firm grip on it.
Knight Commander Kai?
Knight Commander... Knight Commander Kai? I think. Okay. Kai.
I see your humors are unchanged.
Thank you.
Kai says, stretching a slight bow.
That was not necessarily a compliment.
That depends on how accurate one's opinion of me is.
Kai draws his power blade.
I see you came armed, my Lord Lion. I wonder whether your skills have decayed as much as your face has aged. If he wishes us to follow him, then I wish to test him in the only way that matters. After all, I was always best with a blade in the Legion. Causewayne might have given me some trouble, but only on his better days. And besides, he is not here.
He activates his blade.
Wow, you guys are really going to fight against your Primarch. I mean, shouldn't there be some sort of genetic thing within your seed that prevents you from attacking your Primarch, that, makes you love your Primarch, venerate your Primarch? Your Primarch is your father. Your Primarch is that lover that you can never truly ever betray. I don't know. Isn't your gene seed supposed to... Well, not necessarily the gene seed, but your teachings, your indoctrination, supposed to prevent you from doing something like that. But this is interesting. This is really interesting. I mean, I have heard of other Astartes, betraying their Primarchs, or, drifting away from their Primarchs and fighting against their Primarchs. Just like, the Astartes who were led by Horus Lupercal, that also, turned coat and didn't want to follow what Horus Lupercal was doing during the Great Crusade, or the Astartes that were following Matarian. Many of them also, well, not many, just a few, maybe just one. I can't remember their names right now. Guys, don't kill me, okay? I don't know. I don't remember all the names of those particular Astartes who fought against their own Primarchs during the Horus Heresy. I forgot, okay? I'm sorry. But yes, there were some Astartes that, had the will, had the force within them to raise their blades or raise their guns against their Primarchs. Yeah. So it's not unique. Oh, it is unique, but, it's not very common to see something like this happen. Yeah.
There's no further warning, no salute with his weapon or statement of intent. He simply attacks. The Lion steps back from the first thrust and draws fealty on pure instinct. The power field crackling into life, just in time to deflect Kai's second swing. The former Knight Commander is pressing forward aggressively with speed, switching between single and double-handed grips from moment to moment, his every movement an attack. However boastful Kai's claim about his preeminence within the Legion may be, they are not entirely without merit. He is undoubtedly an expert swordsman. The Lion has waded through a host of foes with nothing more than his armoured hands, and slain members of the traitor legions and their younger kin on Kamarth, with fealty without pause. But none of those foes possess Kai's ability. The Lion circles to his right, but Kai's footwork is excellent, and his attacks do not relent. The Lion slaps the point of his opponent's blade aside just before it grazes his chest. Kai has come close to landing a blow 3 times, despite his reach disadvantage, and this is because he's leaving himself open. The Lion jugs his blade back from the instinctive thrust that would take Kai in the side. The unnatural movement spoils his balance for a moment. Kai seizes on the opportunity and presses hard, feinting for a strike at the Lion's face and then changing it to a chopping blow, which nearly leaves the Primarch's right arm truncated below the elbow, and fealty lying in the grass.
Do you want me to kill you?
I am attacking you. Why would you not?
The Lion makes a grab for Kai with his free hand, and
Lionel Johnson would. He would definitely kill you. He would definitely kill you. But now it seems that in these past 10,000 years, he's been humbled. He's been humbled. After all that he has said about, how he failed his father, how he failed his brothers, he doesn't want to fail his sons, He's not the same man that he was 10,000 years ago, in terms of his impulses, in terms of how he felt, how he was betrayed, how he was fooled, and how quick he was to making decisions. He doesn't want to be that person anymore. It seems like in those 10,000 years, he has been humbled. He has changed himself. He's trying to change himself, I guess, as well. It's a continuous work in progress. But essentially, he's not that Lionel Johnson that we remember. The one who would backhand Nemuel and, blow up his face or his skull or whatever. Yeah, he's not that Primarch anymore, it seems.
Nearly loses it.
Will you fight me?
Kai roars, swinging for the Lion's head.
Where is the Emperor's foremost warrior?
The Lion leans backward to avoid the blows, knocks aside the next thrust that comes for his belly, and lashes out with a kick. His bare foot connects flush on Kai's chest plate, and knocks the former Knight Commander backwards through the air for some 10 feet. Kai lands in the grass with a thud, but he is back on his feet within a moment, his sword still in hand. Now, however, the Lion is moving into the attack. It does not aim for Kai's body or head, for he suspects that his son will not be guarding himself. Instead, his next strike is for Kai's weapon. The power blade is knocked to one side. Kai manages to hold on to his sword, but the next blow knocks it from his hand completely, and the Lion brings fealty to point up rest a finger's breadth from Kai's gorget.
Do not test me again.
The Lion growls. Kai kneels and removes his helm, but the face so revealed is smiling.
Forgive me, Lord. Words of reconciliation are easy to utter, but little reveals the spirit like swordplay. You could have killed me. but did not. If your intentions are to safeguard this world and others, then I pledge my blade to you once again.
This world? So we're not on Caliban? Oh, but Caliban was destroyed. Where are we?
What if I had killed you?
Then my companions would have known that your words were empty.
Kai says. The lion snorts. He remembers Knight Commander Kai as a braggart, about whom it was whispered more than once that he might belong in the Emperor's children, but also as a warrior who would never ask anything of others, that he was not willing to attempt himself. The First Legion as it was will never exist again. Adaptation is critical.
I will not rule. I have no wish to. I will command those who are willing to be commanded, and I will lead those who will follow. I know Kai, and he has said his piece. Lohawk has also given me his answer, and with your recommendations, I will accept him. What of you, Afkar?
Afkar's jaw works for a moment, but he finally mag-claps his bolter to his thigh and straightens.
You will give the same opportunity to any of our brothers whom we might encounter.
If they are corrupted, I will not stay my hand, but I will not make the same mistake I did on Caliban and assume corruption without proof. We are all out of step with the Imperium.
It's not just Caliban where that decision happened. It happened on all the traitor Primarchs' homeworlds, where you just assumed because it's the traitor Primarchs' homeworld, you're gonna destroy that entire planet. You know, without further investigating whether that planet is under chaos control. Yeah, but I understand what you mean, and I agree, and I support your change, Primarch Lionel Johnson. I do. Yeah, these 10,000 years have humbled you. That's for sure.
Determining the exact nature of those differences and the reconciliation of them is for a time when humanity is not threatened by extinction.
He raises his eyebrow.
Afkar?
Afkar still hesitates, but when he does move, he moves swiftly. He drops to one knee quicker than either of his brothers, as though finally succumbing to a heavy weight, or as though perhaps a long-held tension has finally been released.
If you are not who we thought you were, then we were fools. Fools who fired on their own battle brothers for no reason.
Say not for no reason.
The lion says. He tries to keep his tone neutral, for condescension could be as counterproductive as his anger.
Say that you were deceived, as was I, and that you now have the opportunity to atone for whatever mistakes you feel you made beside me, instead of from the shadows.
Afkar nods.
I will not spurn this opportunity.
The lion takes a deep breath of the night's air, savoring the smell of the plants. They are a welcome reminder of the forest of his home, without any of the threat.
Come with me, my sons. We have a campaign to plan.
No longer calling them your little brothers. They're your sons now. I like that. Part 4. The Lion Returns. Okay. Next page. Yeah, I like this new Lionel Johnson. Yes, he looks a bit old and he sounds a bit old, you know, like a grandpa, but he's cool. He's cool. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, how did that happen to him? Was it because of the Watchers, or was it because of the psychic attack that Luther, you know, used against him during their final battle?
The lion awakens into a realm that resembles the broken Caliban. He looks upon a reflection and does not recognize what he sees. The face that stares back is old and withered. Despite being armored in a master-crafted powered armor, he feels weaker lesser than he was during the heresy. He stares out onto a lake.
Wait, he's weaker? Oh no. Hopefully he's not too weak.
Seeing a disheveled, gaunt figure that sits in a boat, surrounded by 4 dark creatures that swim in its murky waters, he wades in, only to be stopped by a watcher in the dark, telling him that he is not ready yet. He does not remember who he is, and despite him asking questions, the watcher tells him to simply follow his nature. The lion begins to push deeper into this Calibanite-like forest, until finally it begins to transform, and he finds tainted beasts that are attacking humans. The lion's instincts kicked in, and he rushed forward, slaying the beast with his hands, and then following the humans back to their camp. Upon reaching the human camp, he finds Zabriel, a dark angel who was upon Caliban when it was attacked. The last time Zabriel had seen the lion was attacking Caliban and him, so he lunges forward, only to be subdued by the lion.
Wait, is Zabriel and... What was his friend's name? Zabriel and Zahariel, are they related? Or is it just a coincidence that, you know, their names start with ZA? I'm just wondering about that. Yeah, there's still a lot I need to know about this Legion. And, you know, the people involved in the Legion. You know, the First Legion. There's still so much I need to know. But, okay, we continue.
The two begin to talk, and finally some of the lion's memories seem to come back to him. The lion feels sick to his core. One moment he was battling upon Caliban's surface against his adopted father Luther, and now he has suddenly peered 10,000 years into the future, into a grim, dark, rotting Imperium.
Yeah, that image of him right here, I don't like it. You know, he's just too old looking. He looks like a grandpa, guys. He looks like someone who just needs to retire. I don't know. I mean, I'm picturing Lionel Johnson of Caliban, you know, when he was still young. He was the Tarzan of Caliban, but now...
The lion feels that the Emperor's dream is dead, and that the Imperium he fought for is gone, and his heart begins to change.
Maybe I'm ageist. Maybe I have something against old people. I don't know. I feel sorry for him. The fact that he turned out this way. You know, Roboute Guilliman was kept in stasis for those 10,000 years until he was resurrected. And Lionel Johnson, I don't know what happened in those 10,000 years, but clearly there was no time dilation. There was nothing for him. Like, he just grew old, or he became old, very old looking.
Lion joined the Emperor and became a conqueror during the Great Crusade, but that dream and Imperium that he fought for was gone. So he decided to revert back to his true nature, his own desires, to be a protector, just as he was upon Caliban during the Nights of the Beasts. And just like upon Caliban, if humanity was stalked by beasts and monsters, he would slay them, and he would protect humanity. I failed my father. I fear I also failed my brothers. I will not fail my sons. Lion's body had aged. Despite him being unconscious during most of it, Zabriel can see that he has matured along with it too. The obedience demanding, quick to act, barely contained fury wrapped up in a knightly order was gone. Humility had taken those things from him, because there was nothing more humbling than being truly alone. Zabriel could see that in truth the lion felt lonely, and it would be this warrior, this protector, that would ask for help, not demand obedience. This humble warrior would ask for help from Zabriel, Lohok, Kai, and Afkar. He had changed, and so they would follow again. The misunderstanding of Caliban's destruction was forgiven. 10,000 years has passed. The Lion has returned to a rotting Imperium that is so far from his father's dream. He has faced corrupted marines of chaos, and has seen in the night sky the Cicatrix Maledictum. Once again in his life he is cut off from the light of Terra. He wishes to see his father, but if Terra is out of reach, he resolved to be his true self.
You just have to get to Vigilus, then cross the gauntlet, then you'll be inside Imperium Sanctus, and then you'll be closer to getting to your father. And you're not alone. Guilliman is also here. So at least there's two, your brother is here and your father is here. Well, your father under technical terms is here. Under technical terms is here, but at least you have that brother that you've always been having arguments with, being irritated by, you have that brother here. The brother that you understand the most. You may not like him the most, but you understand him the most. Yeah. And that's Roboute Guilliman. He's here.
He is no empire builder like Guilliman. He is a warrior. He is a protector. To the world of Kamarth, the Lion has found himself after wandering through the forest he recognizes similar to that of Caliban's. After finding the human survivors of this world, of a planet ravaged by the spawning of the Great Terra, the Lion found Zabriel, a dark angel who had been there on Caliban during its breaking, fighting against his Primarch in the ignorance of Luther's corruption. But with the truth revealed, and the misunderstanding between the two cleared up, Zabriel and the people of Kamarth pledged to follow the Primarch. The Lion was directionless, but the people of Kamarth gave him purpose.
So Zabriel was also lost in the tidal forces of the warp, when Caliban was consumed and, destroyed. He was lost within the warp and he came into the future, 10,000 years later, and now he's also wandering this galaxy that's, shattered, essentially. Okay. Alright.
And after months, the Lion and his ragtag force cleared the world of the taint. But as the Lion and his men walked throughout the forest of Kamarth, it started to shift. The trees and foliage became darker, more haunting until the Lion and Zabriel recognized a similarity with that of Caliban's. The group kept walking until the forest began to melt away into the sands of the world of Avalus. The Lion again felt uneasy. He had traversed over an entire system, but now he put the pieces together, that the Calibanite forest was not like that upon Kamarth. It was somewhere else, perhaps not even within the material universe, a place where he had been locked away for 10,000 years. Was this his ability? Was it something he could control? Was it something that could be a powerful asset on the dark side of the rift? The people of Avalus looked on in awe, as a being that dwarfed even the Emperor's Angels of Death. The Space Marines walked amongst them, and when it was verified that it was a Primarch that stood before them, they fell to their knees, praising the demigod son of the God Emperor of mankind. Despite the idea of his father being worshipped as a god sickening him, the Lion kept his true thoughts within, not ready to fight on that front.
Yeah, I don't think you should. I don't think you should. Even Roboute Guilliman is like, you know what, this issue, I'll just leave it this side. I'll deal with it maybe in the far future. Right now, no.
The people of Avalus began to cheer. Tears rolled down their cheeks as a living myth had come to save them. They offered up their service and lives to the son of the Emperor. But the Lion refused. I will not rule. My only intention is to clear the stars of the filth that preys upon humanity. Will you grant me command of your forces, so that I may do this? He did not recognize this Imperium, and he was no lord. He had no wish to rule, but he had a wish to save it. He would not be their overlord, their tyrant, but an ally, amongst furnishings not large enough for a Primarch. The Lion spoke with Zabriel, instructing him to find more of his brothers, more of the fallen. Zabriel returned in the night, the Lion meeting within the Governor's Twilight Gardens, unarmored but armed. Zabriel, Lohawk, Afkar, and Kai, Dark Angels who had been on Caliban during its destruction, were now called the Fallen by their modern Dark Angel brothers. The destruction of Caliban had scattered them throughout space and time.
It's the Fallen and the other faction are called the Forgiven or the Unforgiven, right? I think so.
For some, they had wandered a rotting Imperium for centuries. For others, it had been mere decades. Thousands of warriors who were diverse in their beliefs as their allegiances. Some had fallen to the corruption of chaos. Others were bitter at their seeming exile on Caliban during the Great Crusade, but were still loyal to the Emperor. Others had been tricked, taken in by the lies of Luther and his command squad. The Lion wouldn't make the same mistakes as he did before, assuming corruption without proof. If they were corrupted by chaos, he would not stay his hand, but for those who felt remorse and never willingly forsook their oaths could be forgiven, just like he could. The Lion would not rule. He only wished to serve humanity, and it would accept those that would follow. The Lion needed his sons, and he and they needed the focus of a greater goal to give their life purpose again. They would be humanity's protectors, and it would begin with an ashapathic blast to the galaxy that the Lion had returned, and it began with the defense of Avalus. From the void, ships with corrupted silhouettes made their way towards this world.
I'm sure the astropaths who, get this message, they must be screaming like, a Primarch has returned! Lion L. Johnson! Yeah, something like that.
A future victim for the 10,000 Eyes, a Chaos warband, the same monsters who had once ravaged Kamarth. Arraying the Imperial fleet before the renegade Astartes vessels, the Lion saw he was outnumbered and outgunned. Anything less than a Primarch's capabilities gave the Imperials a sliver of hope. This time, a monster walked into a trap set by the Lion. The Imperial fleet sprung forth, using asteroid cover and overlapping vectors of fire to split and take on the enemy vessels one by one. To the astonishment of the 10,000 Eyes, they were losing, so they became desperate. Reckless enemy teleportations flared upon the Lion's bridge. The Lord of the First stepped down from his seat, his new sword fealty in hand, and charged at the Chaos Terminators upon his vessel. His prowess was not what it once was. His body was aged. He had to plan and fight with more precision and care, lest he be overwhelmed. The Lion fought the Marines infused by chaos, so he used that against them. The power of the Blood God was invigorating, but their fury blinded them to tactical decisions. Johnson separated them, using their blows against each other, until the last was cut down.
So the 10,000 Eyes belong to Khorne.
His armor had taken hits, but the Lion stood victorious. He opened a Vox message and sent it out, that he, the Lion, had returned, and the same fate awaited those who attacked. The renegade fleet began to turn upon itself. Knight Captain Bors and his men, more fallen, had seen and heard their liege lord and answered the call, turning their guns upon the ships they had been uneasy allies with. The desperate defense had turned into a chase as the renegade fleet crumbled, broken apart by the genius of a Primarch. The dark side of the rift once again felt the power of a son of the Emperor. The Lion had been victorious, but this was a temporary reprieve, and the 10,000 Eyes would return. De-armored, the Lion sat in meditation, attempting to clear his mind. His mind was beyond human, a genius handcrafted by the Emperor to lead humanity across the stars. He could do almost anything, except clear his mind. It was almost impossible to switch off, to not think of his life, of Caliban, the Crusade, the Heresy, Luther and the now modern Imperium. He had barely had time to reconcile all these things. He concentrated on his breathing, pushing the memories from his mind, until he opened his eyes, once again looking upon the Calibanite forest. Within a structure that seemed out of place, the lion found the emaciated king again, the one from the lake. He was wounded, gaunt, and circled by 4 dark creatures.
So when he meditates and he enters into this mental state, is he entering into the Watcher's domain or sanctum, where he's able to discuss with the Watchers? And in this place where he meets this, this individual on the lake, is that person also a Watcher, or is it someone else?
Blood trickled from the being the lion suspected was a manifestation of his father, the Emperor.
Okay, alright. So the Watchers and the Emperor are related in some sort of way. They know each other.
The hollow look from the gaunt king unnerved the lion. The figure did not even truly look at him. He had not asked the right question, the lion thought, as he tried to gain the figure's attention, but again the shadows rose, attempting to swarm the king.
Yeah, well, the Emperor is really focused on other things right now. Doesn't really have the time to speak to anyone. Yeah. I mean, even if you try to talk to him, you'll probably be speaking in coded language, or some sort of messed up, language. You wouldn't understand what he was saying to you. So, yeah.
The lion stepped back, his vision clouding as it faded back into the material universe. Following the fleet engagement, more of the fallen were drawn to the rumors of the lion's return. The lion descended down from his ship rampart, marching forward to an array of fallen dark angels. The expression on their faces one of contempt and hesitation. They asked if he had come to kill them. Such a direct accusation that never would have been spoken out loud in the Legion of 10,000 years before. One that would have been met with a swift reaction. But the lion pressed down that urge. The Imperium had changed. His sons had changed. He had changed. The Imperium is by all accounts gravely flawed, but many of the people within it bear no responsibility for that. They are beset on all sides by ravening Xenos we failed to exterminate, and by foul powers to which our brother legions, and indeed some of your own battle brothers, enslave themselves. Should we leave these mortals to reap the consequences of their forebears' decisions, and the failures of the Legiones Astartes and the Primarchs? It wasn't about blame or forgiveness, it was about hope, about doing something for humanity. Many of the Lion's sons before him were skeptical. Here stood the Lord of the First, aged, but still full of vitality. Should they look to the past, sit in bitter resentment, maybe even fall to chaos as some of their brothers had? Or did they need a new purpose? Could they choose to be humanity's protectors again? The fallen angels of the First pledged themselves to fight alongside their Lord, to be his ally. But in the wake of this moment, when the lion felt a piece of the life he had had before return, the news came in. Kamarth, the world where the lion had emerged back into the material universe, the home where Zabriel had protected the people, had been burned. Above the carcass of Kamarth, the lion, his fleet and the growing risen angels gathered. More had come in that time, such as the librarian Bevden, one whose loyalty had been competed with the architects of Kamarth's destruction. The 10,000 Eyes warband, filled with some elements the lion would learn of his own fallen sons. Kamarth's destruction had been a message, and the set for an ambush by the true leader of this warband. Lord Seraphax, sitting in his bastion upon the world of Sable. The Lion sat in meditation once again as the fleet moved towards Sable, the frustration building as he looked to Zabriel, who easily entered into a state of emptiness. Johnson, even from his earliest days in Alderuk, with his father figure Luther, had been exceptional. He was on instinct a genius, and though he had trained to become a knight, to be a Primarch in the Emperor's armies, he never found himself starting from scratch. To empty his mind felt impossible. He wondered if this was how base humanity felt when trying to learn anything, as for once in his life he struggled to grasp something. He slowed his two hearts down. He matched the breathing of Zabriel and pictured the Calibanite forest realm, its winding path that allowed him to travel worlds, to return to the universe after 10,000 years. If he could harness this gift, it would change everything.
Okay, but in terms of him being able to travel worlds, it's not like the Chicholtra engine, right? It's not like he can teleport from worlds within the Imperium world. He can probably only teleport into this pocket dimension or a sanctum that the Watchers have, right? Or maybe he can do more than that, I don't know.
And he didn't have long to master it, as his forces approached Sable. Above the world which was once Sable floated a fortress of bone, forged from the population of an entire planet. The 10,000 eyes forces arrayed around the bastion, outnumbering anything the Lion could bring. Orbital defenses, and hordes of mutants, beastmen and warriors of chaos stood ready, only for the klaxons of the bastion's inner sanctums to blare. The Lion and his band of Risen had slipped through, traversing the forest path right into the heart of their enemy's hold. The Lion pounded down the corridors towards Seraphax, the hunter chasing down his prey as his men battled the Chaos Marines. Everything in his path was cut in two, faster than the eye could blink, until the Lion chased Seraphax into a chamber room. Great sorcerous chains sprung from the fallen sorcery, binding the Primarch in place. The Lion looked upon a sun that had truly fallen.
Stand up, Lionel Johnson. You are a Primarch. Break those chains.
Seraphax, one whose face half burned permanently with chaotic fire. The Lion had promised not to react preemptively, to verify the taint, and now he saw it. The Emperor must be allowed to die, said Seraphax. Death is only the beginning for one such as him. Only then can he ascend fully into the warp, as the true god he is. Once there, no longer enfeebled by the anger of his broken mortal body, he will destroy the ruinous powers and the wailing deities of Xenos races and oversee humanity's second great crusade. It was madness, a betrayal of what the Emperor stood for.
Why would a Chaos worshipper say all of that? That, the Emperor must die so that, humanity can continue and they can make a second crusade later on. Why would he say it like that?
This was not the path, and how could the Lion trust in one so tainted by the warp? Baelor, another of the fallen, stepped out from behind Seraphax, drawing the Lion's blood from a cut. Seraphax would kill the Emperor, and he needed a host to get close enough. And who better than a Primarch? He would puppet the Lion's own body like a twisted marionette, and create a mad apotheosis.
He can do that to a Primarch? I understand the Astartes or other human beings, but a Primarch?
The Lion looked to the ceiling to see a twisted mirror that began to ripple. Pain soared through every nerve of his body as his soul was being dragged from it. His redeemed sons burst through the chamber doors and fired upon the twisting mirror, only for Seraphax to bind them too. Bevdan looked to the Lion. There was so much more the two had to say, so many words yet not spoken, so many failures each had to forgive, but that would never come to pass. Bevden made the choice and overloaded his psychic power, emulating himself to buy the Lion a relief. The Lion broke his chain and lunged at Seraphax, slicing his staff and pinning him to the ground. The Lion roared at the sorcerer to release his sons.
Just kill him. That's how you're going to release your sons. Just kill him. No, don't ask him. You know, you've already ascertained that he's a traitor, he's a chaos worshipper. Put an end to it.
Baelor, follower of Seraphax and fallen Dark Angel, looked on in awe. Never would he have believed the Lionel Johnson he knew would hesitate. Not the Lion of old, who would have sacrificed his soldiers for the mission. The hesitation of the Lion allowed Seraphax to bind him again. The sorcerer cackled in victory until Baelor slipped his dagger into Seraphax's gut. The fallen sorcerer spluttered and withered away, the mirror sorcery broken, and the runes and glyphs of chaos fading.
So, Baelor, you decided that you're going to betray Seraphax. Okay, after seeing that your Primarch didn't instantly kill Seraphax, that he's asking for him to stop. Huh. Okay. I don't know if that is logical really, but okay, I get it.
The 10,000 eyes in Seraphax had been defeated, scattered to the depths of space. The Lion was victorious. The redeemed and the Lion rose to their feet and gathered around Baelor.
Redeemed. Okay. So the fallen have been renamed into the redeemed. Okay.
The Lion asked why. Why did he betray his master? He was no longer Seraphax. Not really. My brother held on to himself for so long, but when I heard him speak and saw how he had been altered, I knew he was gone. And you protected my brothers from him. That is not the Lion who attacked Caliban. Baelor had turned from the corruption. He had seen his brothers, seen his Lord Primarch, and had chosen them. But Chaos's roots had run too deep. The Lion felt a sting in his heart. He didn't want to see more of his sons die. He was not that man who attacked Caliban. Not anymore. He was a protector, not the Emperor's annihilator. Baelor looked up to his lord and asked for a soldier's death, an honor the Lion couldn't refuse. The Lion cleaved his son's head from his shoulders, his heart steeled, but yet wreathed in the sorrow as he did so. The Lion stood in the ashes of victory, the stark realization that his road ahead would be difficult. His return was a flare in the night sky, drawing allies and enemies to its light. But it was a journey he would not face alone. With the redeemed by his side, he would build, spread a web of protection that reached as far as he could, a shield for humanity, all under the protection of the Lion, Lord of the First, son of the Emperor, Primarch of the Dark Angels.
Alrighty. Part 5, Arks of Omen. Okay.
The Lion emerged once more into the forest pocket realm, looking for the wounded king. Before the strange castle grounds, he found a watcher in the dark. You told me before that I was not strong enough for this. He wasn't, but perhaps he was now. The Lion stepped within, finding himself within a gloomy domed room. From the shadow he saw a figure emerge. The ferocity that lurks within the Lion's heart is mirrored, but worn on the surface in the flashing blue eyes, those elongated canine teeth that are exposed as the upper lip lifts in a snarl. The lion looked upon Leman Russ. Relief, anger, joy, and alarm all swirl within the lion's heart.
Is that really Leman Russ? Okay.
But Russ calls him a traitor and lunges at him. The lion meets with him toe to toe. Furious concentration against concentrated fury as a Primarch's duel. The lion battles until the figure transforms, seeing his long-dead charismatic brother Horus Lupercal. The creature within transforms more throughout the duel.
Okay, clearly this is some sort of test. Okay. But for what? To what ends?
Perturabo, Jagatai Khan, Magnus the Red, all the lion's brothers taunt and maul him, ending with the monster that was Conrad Kurz. The ghosts of his brothers spill harsh words. Annihilator, old and weak, butcherer of his own sons.
And I'm sure he's also laughing. Yeah, lion!
Too late to save the Emperor, unworthy of the Emperor's secrets. Bioengineered monster. The lion brawled with every one of his brothers, the remarks cutting just as deep as the Primarch level strikes. They were ghosts, but so was the lion that they knew. He was not that man anymore. He had chosen to become something more.
I like that.
Something better than the Primarchs of old. A light flared from behind the lion. He turned and saw it, emanating from a kite shield. It was richly decorated and embossed with an icon of an eagle crowned with laurels. He reached out and touched it. His mind expanded to a perspective beyond his own. The galaxy. Humanity and Xenos upon millions of worlds. He saw life from the macro down to the organisms, all connected in a web of power whose perception caused pain to his soul.
So, he was having this test, and the reward is a shield, a kite shield. Okay?
This was the mind of his father. This was how the Emperor saw the universe. It was incredible and haunting. The lion snapped back to himself, looking upon the Emperor's shield in his grip.
Oh, it's the Emperor's shield. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Is it the Watchers who were facilitating this, proving ground for Lionel Johnson? And once he'd proved that he's worthy of the kite shield, somehow the Watchers transported it to him? Or the Emperor was talking to the Watchers and, they transported that kite shield to him? Is that what happened here? Interesting. So, Robuta Guilliman has the Emperor's sword, and Lionel Johnson has his shield. Alright. So, if other brothers come, like Lionel Leman Russ, if he should return, or Jagatai Khan should return, they're going to be having the Emperor's armor, probably. Because I can see the Emperor is sharing his most valuable weapons with his sons. Robuta Guilliman has the sword, Lionel Johnson has the shield, and maybe one day one of the other Primarchs will have his armor and whatever else he has in his possession.
He lunged forward and pinned the warp facade Nighthaunter beneath the shield, the energy of the martyr of mankind within eviscerating the creature from existence. Perhaps he was all those things the creature accused him of, but now he could become something he chose to be, a shield in the darkness of the grim dark future. Reuniting with his sons in Avalis, the lion detected a large fleet enter the system. Ships he recognized to be Astartes. The Blood Angels chapter had arrived. They had come to investigate the rumors spreading throughout Imperium Nihilus of a great knight emerging from a forest, battling the threats to humanity across desperate worlds. Descending down from a ramp, Space Marines in blood red marched in parade towards the hulking figure in ornate, deep green plate. What should have been a sight of hope turned the lion's heart into fury, as he saw a warrior in gold, donned in a mask that resembled the face of Sanguinius, who—
Oh yes, I've heard of this man. Dantius? Or... Yeah, I think it's Dantius or I forgot his name. Yes, but I've heard of him. And I still don't know much about him. There's still a lot for me to go through in terms of, the current, present issues within the Imperium of Man. I'm focusing still on the Primarchs. I'm focusing on the past. I'm still not up to date with the current events of, the Imperium of Man and Warhammer 40k, or in the 42nd millennium. Yes. But yeah, I've seen this individual before.
Were you to wear my brother's face? The lion bellowed, remembering the brother that he loved and admired, one now long dead in this rotting Imperium. The warrior in gold removed his mask, and the lion's anger subsided as he looked upon the space marine that was truly ancient. He sees the reminiscence of his brother's features, cast upon a visage that has seen too much war, a feeling he knew well. I am Dante, commander of the Blood Angels.
Dante, not Dantius. Dante. Okay.
I have served the Emperor for over 1,000 years, and I have yet to meet a being with the same bearing as a Primarch, save for another Primarch. Another Primarch. Rebute Guilliman lived. I am not alone. The lion's heart raced. Rebute, a brother, one he had clashed with many times before, but that didn't matter now. Finally, he had someone left in this rotting Imperium that could understand him. Everything he had been through. Guilliman was alive.
You just need to get to Imperium Sanctus, and he's there. He's waiting for you.
Leads the Indomitus crusade across the Great Rift, reinforcing bastions of humanity. It meant Terra still stood. It still fought. It meant the Emperor still lived too. The Lion accepted Dante and the Blood Angels, and the news they brought with them, of a great evil amassing in the Somnium stars, a call being answered by the chapters of the Unforgiven, the modern Dark Angels. They were in danger. The Lion gathered his redeemed angels and joined the Blood Angels' fleet to his, as they roared towards the Somnium stars. He had made a vow. I failed my father. I fear I also failed my brothers. I do not wish to fail my sons. He would not fail those who shared his blood and called themselves the Sons of the Lion. A pact sealed in Baelor's blood, a memory he had to honor. The Lion, the Redeemed and the Blood Angels arrived in the system, finding the chapters of the Unforgiven, in the heart of a trap set by Abaddon the Despoiler, and Vashtor the Archifane, Demon of Chaos. The Wormwood, a twisted marionette reforging of the broken pieces of Caliban, hosted a foul ritual, desecrating rituals and blood splattered across its surface. A corrupted pseudo-planet that felt the wrath of the Unforgiven chapters, as they threw themselves upon the Black Legion, World Eaters and demonic forces. A cacophony of violence had shifted, as from the warp a blood-curdling roar echoed into real space. Tides of blood coalesced, as the demon Primarch Angron broke into the material universe. Azrael, Grand Master of the Dark Angels, held the Imperial forces together, but such was the tide and ferocity of chaos, the lines began to buckle, until a Voxcom blared across the entire Unforgiven line. Dante, Lord Commander of Imperium Nihilus, declared that they bring aid. Your Gene Father has returned. The Lion has returned. It was as if time stood still. For thousands of warriors, their hearts beat like drums as the magnanimity of those words sunk in. Azrael and his men turned to see amongst the fire and smoke an enormous figure emerge, a cloak billowing behind him. He carried an ornate sword and shield, and was clad in immaculate armor.
Yes, let's go. Primarch versus Primarch.
Warriors of black and red swarmed behind him, as the Dark Angels felt their blood sing with heat. They looked upon the myth made manifest, and sunk to their knees. Their Primarch, Lion L. Johnson. The Lion looked over the swamp of blood and corpses, to look upon his fallen brother. The demon Primarch Angron. How far his tormented brother had fallen. The sight disgusted him. The Red Angel howled and flew upon his demonic wings at the Lion. The Lion raised his shield and took the brunt of Angron's meteoric slashes. Concussive shockwaves blast from every hit as the duel began. The Knight of Caliban met the demon Primarch of Khorne, as a sea of green and black armor pushed against the tide of chaos. For the Lion, and the Emperor the Sons of the Lion roared.
For the Lion, for the Emperor!
The rampaging attacks of Angron were bone-shattering, Johnson doing everything he could to deflect and counterattack. The Lion ducked, and weaved through the structures as he now recognized to his horror. It resembled that of Caliban. The Lion and Angron exchanged more blows and wounds. The Lion using the Emperor's shield to emit golden light, and reflecting the demon Primarch's titanic blows upon itself. The Lion weaved more, building the fury of his brother to apocalyptic levels, something he had counted upon. The power of Angron grew, as blood poured for him. Blood for the blood god. His howls bursting eardrums and scraping at the soul. All semblance of tactics melted into a red haze, as Angron made a reckless charge. Johnson joined his twisted brother and dropped his defenses, taking the brunt of Angron's charge, but thrusting his blade deep into his brother's chest as they tumbled. The wounded monster looked up to see the bloodied Lord of the First rise. The Lion loomed over Angron, armor bloodied and dented. He gripped the Emperor's shield with both hands and gave Angron no time to react. With a roar, Lionel Johnson brought the glowing edges of his shield down upon the demon Primarch's head, driving it through the bridge of Angron's nose with such a force that it embedded itself in the metal surface beneath. The Lion banished his brother back into the warp.
I'm sure in the warp he's gonna tell his other Primarch brothers, hey, Lion's back. He just killed me, Lion is back.
Through the forest walk, the Lion returns to the fleet. The machinations of Vashtor had not been foiled, but the Lion had saved his sons. Within the halls of the Rock, the Dark Angel's fortress monastery, the remains of Alderac. Before the chapters of the Unforgiven and the Redeemed, the Lion stood. The Gene Sons of the Lion were reunited. The tensions of the Hunters and those they had hunted for 10 millennia was palpable. The great task of protecting humanity across the stars and bringing together his sons into one legion remains a difficult path,
but they are together again. And this is where it starts. Yes, the Dark Angels are back.
The Lion in his heart knows there is no more space for failure. He will not fail his father. He will not fail his brothers. He will not fail his sons. He will not rule, but he will lead those who choose to follow. For the Imperium, for the Emperor, for the Lion.
Did Scott Barkley also make this soundtrack? Let me check. Where is Shazam? Come on, Shazam. Help me out. Oh wait, the heater is interfering. Okay, let's try that again. Yes. Purple phase twinkling common. Okay. I don't know if it's really this one, but I'll check. I'll double check. I like the soundtrack. I like it. Yes, guys, that is it. That is it. That is it. With a Primarch returns to 40k, voice acted, 40k lore, entire character history made on the TheAmberKing YouTube channel, and it was voiced by Sheen Michael Morneau. Yes, voice acting for Lionel L. Johnson. Yes. Well, guys, the Lion with Guilliman and Sanguinius was a difficult period. Definitely, it was a difficult period for him. Because of his paranoia and his distrust of the current situation, and how he perceived Guilliman and his Imperium Secundus, and how he wanted to invest into it. He saw it as something worthwhile to work on, right? But he still didn't really trust his brothers 100%. He always still, kept secrets to himself. And, he didn't feel like explaining himself to his brothers. So Imperium Secundus was going to be a very difficult project to, continue with all these three brothers. Because yes, they loved each other. Yes, they trusted each other to a certain extent. But Johnson had his own activities. Guilliman had his own activities. The Emperor Regent had his own activities. So I don't know. It just looked extremely difficult for Lionel Johnson to work in a team with his brothers for a long time. during the Imperium Secundus times of existence. And Conrad Curze exploited that 100%. He exploited the divisions the brothers had, and he knew the weaknesses of Lionel Johnson, most especially compared to his other brothers, and he exploited them with 100% effect and efficiency. He made Lionel Johnson to go across Imperium Secundus looking for Conrad Curze, when Conrad Curze the whole time was on Macragge. The whole time he was on Macragge, this whole time. And when Lionel Johnson returned, I'm sure Conrad Curze predicted that, he's going to blame his brother Roboute Guilliman. He's going to blame that the Triumvirate is not really working together. He's going to blame that he's going to need to use heavy-handed tactics against Conrad Curze. And I'm sure Conrad Curze predicted all of this, or he saw into the future about these potential activities that Lionel Johnson's going to do, and it just fell into place for him. How Lionel Johnson did whatever meant necessary to contain or to arrest Conrad Curze, even if it meant killing the Macragge citizens. Who were they called again? Yes, the Illyrium people, the Illyrium Quarter. How those people were killed just so that Lionel Johnson can capture Conrad Curze, And when he decided that he was not going to kill his brother, but he was going to send him over for judgment, and he proclaimed to himself that he's not a murderer, when what he had just done to the Illyrium people was murder. He killed all of those people, all in the pursuit of getting Conrad Curze. And Conrad Curze used that as another tool that would further destroy the Triumvirate. And it worked beautifully. Checkmate. Checkmate. And Conrad Curze laughed and enjoyed the downfall of his brother Lionel Johnson and the breakup of the Triumvirate of the Imperium Secundus. He succeeded. Well done to him there. Well done to Conrad Curze there. He really knows how to play with his brothers. He really knows how to manipulate them. So yeah, Lionel Johnson fell into those sort of traps, and it continued further with the Davin situation, where the three brothers were debating on what they should do about this planet. He wanted to destroy it. Sanguinius wanted to investigate. Roboute Guilliman also wanted to investigate, but he wasn't really 100% sure on which side does he support. But he also was interested in finding out what happened to Horus. However, the Lion was not having any of it. He immediately told his brothers that I'm going to crack that planet. And if you're on that planet and I crack it, then you're dead. And he didn't think about the consequences of those actions during that time. He only thought of it at the last moment, at the last minute, where he would have to give the order for the destruction of the planet. That's when he had a change of heart and realized that, he can't trust his instincts. He can't just do what he believes is right, that he has to assess, and he has to, think about this type of action and what type of consequences would lead to it. So, yeah, the Lionel Johnson of old was very, very rigid, very unforgiving, and he was quick to judgment, and it costed him one of his own sons. It costed the innocent people of Illyrium, and it almost costed the lives of the Blood Angels, the Primarch Sanguinius, and it would have also broken the relationship between all the three legions, the Ultramarines, the Blood Angels, and the Dark Angels, and that would have fallen directly into the advantage of Horus Lupercal. So yes, the young Lionel Johnson was not. He was a difficult person to work with. He was a difficult person to work with, and Roboute Guilliman, faced the brunt of this difficulty working with Johnson, because he trusts, but he also doesn't trust. He breaks promises, he makes promises. You don't know where to stand with him, because he's having this pursuit of completing his objective no matter what. So really, Guilliman had to really deal with someone like this for some time, and it hurt him. Sometimes it hurt him. It hurt him very bad when it came to the situation with Illyrium, with the Illyrium people. And Lionel Johnson, after the situation with Davin, having a thought or a plan of destroying all the homeworlds of the traitor Primarchs. Yes, it sounds good on paper. Strategically, militarily, it does kind of sound good, to cut off the reinforcements of chaos forces to those Primarchs or resources to those Primarchs, but also demoralizing the enemy by destroying their homeworlds. It does sound good on paper, but then in reality, you have to consider the fact that these people are innocent. They may not be involved in whatever their Primarch is doing. And instead of just wiping out the entire planet or cracking the planet, you should investigate. Send some Dark Angels to those planets to investigate whether the planet has converted to chaos. Instead of just quickly going to the conclusion that chaos Primarch means chaos homeworld. Blow it up. And like I said before, I also found it surprising that he didn't blow up his own homeworld. After finding out that, hey, Luther has betrayed us, Luther is part of chaos, I would have thought that in his mind he would also think about wiping out his entire homeworld. But he didn't do that with his homeworld, But with his other Primarch brothers, fast. So yeah, he was a very difficult Primarch to work with. He had a good heart. It's just he was angry. He was angry at himself. He was angry about his failures. He was angry at the fact that he was so paranoid about certain things when it came to his brothers, when it came to his Astartes. And the only solution to him was to eliminate the threat as soon as possible. But then after the events on Caliban and how the planet was destroyed and how he was transported into a sanctum or a dimension belonging to the Watchers, after all those 10,000 years of him being by himself, meditating, thinking about his actions from the past, essentially he was in prison for those 10,000 years. And in those 10,000 years, he's reformed into a different person. Physically, mentally, he is a different person. He's not the same. He is trying to change from that person. He's trying to be someone better, and he's trying to focus on protecting the people, how he was when he was defending his people on Caliban as a knight. He wants to revert back to that person, and not the person who would kill innocent people for the sake of completing a mission or victory, or killing his Astartes because they disobey his orders. So he's trying to change from that person, and he's trying to become a better Primarch than he ever was before, and even some of his brothers. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, that the fact that the character development of Lionel Johnson is being witnessed, not by just us, the viewers or the readers of the books, but also by the Dark Angels themselves, the forgotten or the unforgiven, and the fallen, who have now been transformed into the redeemed, and how they're all uniting once more to create the Dark Angels, the First Legion. So it's really good to see that Lionel Johnson is trying to become a better person. And yeah, you just need to meet up with your brother in Imperium Sanctum. You need to meet up with your brother. You need to go and visit the Emperor physically this time, and not through visions of him in the Watcher's Sanctum or wherever that place was that you were meditating in. You need to visit him physically and hear him talk to you like Roboute Guilliman. Yeah, that's what you need to do. But yeah, guys, that's it for today with Lionel L. Johnson and the let me just get the title again. Yes, a Primarch returns to 40k. Yes. Thank you again to TheAmberKing for making this wonderful video on Lion L. Johnson and all the other characters that were also involved in the storyline, with the voice actors as well, contributing, like Sheen Michael Morneau. And yeah, the music as well, very, very nice. I need to get some soundtracks here. The first soundtrack I heard in the beginning of the video and the last one here, I need to get them. I need to get them. I really do need to get them. But yeah, this was good. This was really, really good. Okay, guys, that's it. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as the TheAmberKing's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Yes, which is probably this week or next week with another video. Yeah. Oh yes, there's 3 videos. Like I said before, yeah, there were 3 videos that I saw on the TheAmberKing's channel. I'm not sure about the third one, if it is a combination of the two, or is it a continuation of the stories involving Lion L. Johnson. I'll just have to double check that. But if it is a continuation, then I will react to it. But if it's a combination of the two, then I don't think I will react to it, because I've already watched part 1 and now this is part 2. Yeah, but you'll see. Yes. Okay, guys, that's it. Did I say? Yeah. If you like my reaction, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.